Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Willington Board of Education meeting. It is Tuesday, June 9th, 2026. We're calling our meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. You are invited to join us for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, June, how many days are left in school? Like, who knows?
Six-ish.
Yeah.
Wait, six business days or 6 calendar days?
School days.
I wish to be six business. Our business days.
Okay, and how many days until the next start of the next school year?
Wish
A lot.
I know that one.
A lot.
Too many.
Wish to be infant.
Too many.
Probably were interesting.
You actually do not write. Tell me later. Anyway, welcome to our students. It's always awesome to see you guys. Do we have any 8th graders in the room? Yeah. Hi. Go out into the world, make Willington proud. I know that you will. Don't ever forget your roots. Home is where the heart is, and we're always here for you. Will you remember that? It's a lot of signs in your house. All right. Welcome to all of you. Are we starting with our B's or effective?
We are starting center school.
All right. So B's.
The PTA's annual 5K fun run and silent egg
That's his auction.
auction was held the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. Runners came from all over to participate in the 5K, and many students ran the mile fun run. Every student runner received a medal. Willington Day was held on CES playground during the same time. Everyone had a great time. Friday, May 22nd was Backwards Day and wear your center school t-shirt day. The Royal Bees for May were announced with students proudly wearing their football sashes to demonstrate their commitment to be hardworking. Preschoolers who meetings were held on Thursday, May 21st for next year's 3 and 4-year-olds were staffed to understand the needs of our youngest years. Kindergarten orientation was held on Monday, June 1st for new families to learn about kindergarten, while teachers spent time getting to know the class of 2039.
First graders learned about pharaohs as part of their CKLA unit on early world civilizations, including that King Tut became pharaoh at age 9 and died at age 19. They created traditional headpieces and modeled them. One of our second graders was selected and won the bookmark contest from the Connecticut Association of School Libraries. Students who chose to participate designed a bookmark and turned it into design. One bookmark from each grade category was then sent to the state competition. Congrats to Saika and Miss Watt's class who won in the 2nd and 3rd grade category. Saika created a bookmark showing an open book leading to our beautiful earth with the word read. As the winner, Saika received 200 other bookmarks for the CES library, a poster to display in the CES library, and a certificate signed by the CASL president.
3rd graders followed the writing process by using prompts such as in 20 years and if you give a third grader a pencil. They wrote final drafts that were published into hardcover books. Classes then came together to celebrate during a publishing party.
Representative Nuccio visited fourth graders on Friday, May 22nd, to judge the poster contest from her office to celebrating America's 250th birthday. Congratulations to the following fourth graders. In Miss R's class, Matthew in third place, Joey in second place, and Aurora in first place. In Mrs. Wood's class, congratulations to Natalie for third place, Ann Schmidt for second, and Edward for first place. All fifth winners received certificates of recognition, and both classes asked Representative Nuccio some questions about her job.
Thursday, May 14th was Center School's Evening of the Arts celebration. Every student in all grades had at least one piece of art on display for families and guests to view. After the art show, the fourth grade band showed off their talents, followed by the fourth grade chorus singing. The night ended with the third grade chorus singing several songs.
There you go.
Are any of our representatives in fourth grade? Okay, all that stuff I sent to these guys over here. Oh, you're gonna move up? Exciting.
I didn't have to.
Awesome. So hope you should, make a nice face at your new principal over there, and maybe you could apply to be a student rep tonight. Thank you. Congrats, you guys. That's exciting.
Yes.
In the building. Awesome. All right. Speaking of our balcony, do all of you guys have your program?
You are challenging me with this sound. We'll see how I do today.
I really have a full experience.
I know. I have more things on my screen than you can possibly imagine. We'll see how it goes. All right, middle schoolers, here we go.
Today, 8th graders Aubrey Cook and Alexander Domskowski were honored as Connecticut Association of Middle Level Scholar Leaders. Along with their families, they attended a special banquet with the other honorees from around the state. Each were able to invite one teacher with them to celebrate. Aubrey chose her science teacher, Mrs. Blanfield, and Alexandra chose Mr. Salon, her ELA teacher. We are so proud of these girls and can't wait to see what's next for both.
And one's in the room.
Our Falcon musicians participated in the Green Music Festival a few weeks ago. Our choir scored platinum and our band scored gold. After a morning of adjudication, they enjoyed an afternoon at Six Flags.
Our 5th and 6th graders had a dance in May. A great time was had by all, and we can't wait for the next one. Our spring choir concert featured the 7th and 8th grade concert choir, the 5th and 6th grade concert choir, and chamber singers. Our combined choir sang a selection in honor of Mr. Norman Garrett, a longtime music teacher in Willington who passed away earlier this school year. This concert was a celebration of growth for our students, especially our 8th graders for whom this was their last concert. Please enjoy our 7th graders sending off our 8th graders.
Bria, thank you for being so amazing choir this year, but more importantly, an amazing person. You are so kind and sweet, and we are so lucky to have you. I love you and I'll miss you so much. Good luck in high school.
Anthony, it was great having you as a friend I can depend on to give me great course advice and being fun to talk to.
joy in being an amazing singer.
Jonathan has
For the last several months, we've had a tank full of baby trout in Mrs. Richmond's classroom. Thanks to a generous donation by Belkin, we were able to learn how to care and grow the trout. And last week, we had the opportunity to release them in the river behind HMS. Ken and Nancy Burrows from Trout in the Classroom came to help us to release the trout. We also had some fun learning how to fly fish.
Our fifth and sixth graders took a trip to the Pequot Museum and had the opportunity to make cornhouse dolls.
At last week's band concert, Mr. Kennan, who has taught many of these students since they were in fourth grade, celebrated how far they've come as musicians, and our band sent them off with yesterday. We wish them all well in high school.
Those clicked on Equinox. Yes. Okay.
It's easy to say the word growth, but we all know growing is anything but easy. It breeds conflict, hardship, success, and failure. And over these 4 years and 40 so odd days, I have seen these kids go through all of it. I did some thinking. Since fourth grade,
We're proud to announce that whole school has won the statewide bookmark contest from the Connecticut Association of School Librarians. The winning design by fifth grader Sophia Lira features a reclining panda bear enjoying a good book in a bamboo forest. Congratulations, Sophia. We can't wait to see a bookmark sent to schools throughout the state.
We racked up on the bookmark.
Yes, no, geez.
In May, our eighth graders went to Washington, D.C. We toured museums, national monuments, and memorials, and we had a lot of fun along the way.
Long road.
That's also it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's it.
Cut
That's
off
fine.
the slide that says, that's it. Yeah.
All right, nice job, you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, we're gonna proceed with our meeting, but if you'd like to, do with your eating.
Responding over the summer.
Hey.
Great.
Yeah. Enjoy your time.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you all for
Got you guys.
taking the time to bring our results.
And being a Jessica.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
All right, while we get reorganized here. Oh, good. Okay. You just roll that. Okay. Okay, next up is our PTA report, and will this be your fellowship? A very bittersweet.
I'm so excited to see you. I thought last.
No way to look at it.
Yep, last one.
Nice.
Very
All right.
bittersweet. So,
Welcome, Ms. Rainville. What's going on with the PTA?
Hello, everyone. Carrie Rainville, PTA president. Tonight is a little bittersweet for me as this will be my final Board of Education update as Willington PTA president. I'm gonna try to get through this without crying. Super emotional. 3 years ago, I stepped up into this role because our PTA needed someone willing to say yes. I never could have imagined how much this experience would mean to me or how deeply I would come to love this community. Over the past 3 years, I have had the privilege of working alongside incredible teachers, incredible staff members, administrators, parents, volunteers, board members, and community partners. Together, we've created memories for our students, supported our schools, celebrated our staff, and built connections that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. What I will remember most isn't the fundraisers, it isn't the events or the meetings. It's the people. It's the smiles on the students' faces, the excitement of families coming together, the dedication of our staff, and the countless individuals who quietly stepped up to make the difference. Being PTA president has been one of the greatest honors of my life. This role has filled my heart more than I can adequately express. As my family prepares to return back home to New Hampshire, I leave with tremendous amount of gratitude. While my address will change, a piece of my heart will always remain in Willington. I want to thank the Board of Education for your partnership and your support over the years. I am proud to have worked together and shared the same goal and accomplishing that goal by always doing what's best for the students. To everyone who volunteered, attended an event, donated, encouraged, or simply believed in the work that we were doing, thank you. You all made every success possible. I cannot express how incredibly proud of what our small but mighty PTA has been able to accomplish together. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for allowing me to honor and serve all of you. Do have a couple of quick events to talk about. First being Willington PTA Night with Connecticut Sun. James over at Connecticut Sun was very generous by giving us a discounted link for this game. UConn fans out there, we got Paige and AZ coming to town. It's Thursday, July 2nd. I think I can't remember the exact amount, but I think it's between $35 and $45 per ticket, and that's really good seats. Like if you go on to like Ticketmaster or whatever, they're like $190 right now. So it's going to be a really good event. It is Thursday, 8 p.m. So school night. It's at People's Bank Arena in Hartford. So it's just a discounted rate for anyone that wants to join us. It'll be a good night. CES Field Day volunteers, we do have quite a few signed up, but there is a QR code out there for the form to sign up. That is this Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Rain date is Monday, June 15th. Any parents or community members that want to volunteer, you guys can either use the QR code, it's all over social media, digital backpack, sent via email, or you can reach out to willingtonpta@gmail.com if you have any questions or want to help out. And then last, order your 2025-2026 CES yearbook. They're $25 a piece. There is QR code in all of those locations as well. Email, digital backpack, social media. If you want to leave your your student, your kid, your teacher a message for $5, no limit on that. Just $5 flat if you want to leave anybody a message. And then I just want to leave our community with one final note. The future of the Willington PTA now belongs to all of you. Connecticut PTA will be helping guide our PTA's upcoming election process. They will be hosting a Zoom meeting on Monday, June 15th at 6 p.m. to explain the process, answer questions, and help establish a nominating committee that will identify new candidates for next year's PTA board. You can find more information via those 3 locations, via email, digital backpack, and Facebook, social media. If you have any questions, the Zoom link is available to all of you. I encourage every parent, every teacher, every staff member, and every community member to get involved, attend the meeting, ask the questions, learn about the process, consider serving on the nominating committee, consider running for a position, or consider supporting those who do. The leadership chosen through this process will help shape the experiences, the opportunities, the events, and the support provided to our students, our staff, and our schools for years to come. Your voice matters, your participation matters. So this is my final request for all of you. Step up, show up, and vote. Help choose the leaders you believe will best serve our students, our families, in our community. The future of Willington PTA is in your hands, and I have every confidence that this community will continue to do amazing things together. Thank you all for allowing me the privilege to serve as your PTA president.
Is there a problem for basketball? Like tickets are no longer available as of,
Up until the event.
okay, thank you.
Thank you for everything you have done to promote our awesome community. You've definitely left your mark.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very so much.
Thank you.
Check in from time to time.
I sure will.
We're gonna be okay, I promise.
Yes, you will.
Don't worry.
I have faith.
Okay, good. Listen, people, we gotta get it together.
The future board is set up very well to have a successful few years, so I'm very, very excited for the next board coming up.
Good, it's gonna be awesome. All right, thank you so very much. All right, this evening we have a special guest, Heidi Afrismo is here tonight. She is our math curriculum coordinator. Heidi works with both of our schools, so across the district.
I'm glad. The only one that's tiny. Yeah.
And there have been some questions recently about all of the things that Heidi does. So I look forward to hearing more about what you fill your days with, and sharing some information too about our math program and how you're using it with our teachers and how it's helping our students as well. So welcome, Heidi. Nice to see you.
I have a presentation.
Yeah, well, I'll put it up.
Thank you. I have it on my phone just in case I can't read it.
I didn't bring my glasses, so I very much hope I just press cool. So if it gets warmer, please say something.
Well, very glad.
Well, I just put them back on.
Jazzy evening we're having.
All right, so I'm going to talk about the tier 1 program we have briefly, and then how we're handling tier 1 reteach. And then very briefly talk about what happens if the tier 1 reteach doesn't work. So what happens to when kids go through tier 2, or how do we decide that? So a lot of the stuff I'm talking about, we've been doing a lot of it in the school already, but that this year has been kind of me fine tuning the system that we want to use for next year. And then also it wasn't happening as much in 6th through 8th, only because we were in a research phase with MClass and Amplify. So we didn't have all the components available that we had in K through 5, but we will next year. So basically for tier 1 for all students, I mean, there's a couple exceptions to that for like direct instruction, but pretty much in all students, they'll all take the math benchmark, which is MClass, that's 3 times a year. They all receive daily IM instruction, and then they will receive, we only have this in K through 5, but it will be available K through 8 next year. They receive boost math lessons. So there's a few, they have in Math Boost, which is different from Reading Boost. They have printables, but they also have online activities. So sometimes we feel like the IM lessons don't have enough practice. So teachers will assign Boost math lessons that correspond with that, and Boost is aligned with IM completely. So all they have to do is go in, find their lesson, click on it, and assign it to students, or they can assign it to a few students if they think only a few need more practice. We also can use it for tier 1 reteach. For fluency practice, again, we only had this in K through 5 this year. All students should receive, there's a part of Amplify where they get 5 to 10 minutes a day with cards. They're like online flashcards, but it's better because they put them in these multiple boxes, and a kid has to get it from like box A to box F or something and be like automatic with the fact before it's in their long-term memory box. So they have that they have all 4 operations, but I actually just found out last week that they're going to have it for 6th through 8th too. So that's things like rounding decimals and proportional relationships and things like that. So the fluency even goes beyond the 4 operations, which our Acadians does too. So that will be very helpful. So Acadians, all students in grades 1 through 6 get an Acadians assessment for fluency. And then right now I'm assessing every kid on fluency for the 4 operations in grades 1 through 4 on a running record until our Acadian scores are approved. So we can see like exactly where those gaps are. So that's only for the 4 operations. And that's technically supposed to be something that we would only give, it's a diagnostic, so it would technically be something we only gave to students who are testing below on Acadians, but until our scores improve, everyone's getting one. And I started that this year. Then we also have all of the data goes into a tier 1 data spreadsheet, so we can access it year to year. So that's what every student receives right now or will receive next year.
And you get, I think, the M-class composite scores and the Acadian scores in your BOE portion. You don't see the running record scores or the IM unit test. So
yeah, the running records don't really have scores. It's more like putting them at a step where they have to practice multiplying by 9 or something. So it's not really associated with like a grade level. It just sees exactly what facts they need to practice. So then after all of this tier 1 is happening in the classroom, we really need to focus on tier 1 reteach, because a lot of times it's everyone gets tier 1 and then it's like, oh, we want to jump right to tier 2, but that's not always, there are things that can be done in the classroom before that happens. So I can't read that one, I'm sorry. Okay. So when does it happen? It happens when students have significant gaps on unit tests. That's typically below 80%. That's the perimeter that I set. However, if a student gets like even an 85 or 90, and that 10 or 15% is one skill that they're missing, I would consider that a significant gap. So I don't want to say everyone only below 80, because we have to really analyze those unit tests and see what the gaps are. Then also when students miss the same types of questions on the M-class benchmark. So the good thing about M-class over iReady is that we can actually see the questions and how every single kid did on the questions in iReady. We don't even get a copy of the test blank. So now we can actually see what students missed and what they struggled with on that test. And then it can happen during WIN at CES when tier 2 groups are being taken, and also the Flex or X block, I think, will be next year at Hall School. So there are times during the day in both our schedules where this can happen, separate from the tier 1 class. So for the tier 1 reteach, we use Boost Math printables, and there are online lessons too. We also have another tier 1 program and that we don't use as our main. So what happened was we purchased IM and they don't have pre-K. So, and they said they were going to come out with pre-K, they never did. So we purchased the tier 1 Bridges program for just pre-K. And then they gave us the entire curriculum, pre-K through 5 online. So I can actually print things for them to use if, the IM lesson isn't working, we can pull from another program for free to help students when needed. And that could be for like small tier 1 reteach, or that could just be to supplement like the whole class, tier 1. Why? So I've been working on matching up the lessons in tier 1 Bridges to tier 1 IM. And then IM has a lot of practice problems, especially in the upper grades. Not as many in the lower grades, but they do exist. And we know it worked. So M-class has, you see the composite scores, but they also have, they don't give a score, but they give like below benchmark, well below, or on benchmark for every math domain. So whatever domain you're focusing on in the tier 1 reteach, we can know if their corresponding domain is on benchmark now. And we also have another thing we didn't have with iReady is that M-class has progress monitoring for each domain, for each grade. So, and that's all on grade level progress monitoring. So we don't have to give the whole test again. We can give the 7-8 questions that they have when we want to see if a kid has responded to the tier 1 reteach, which is much more manageable. And then also we can do unit retest. That happens more at the middle school than it does at elementary, only because of the nature of them being older and able to maybe handle some more assessments, but it is an option, or even at the elementary, you can retest some of the questions that they missed and instead of the whole thing. So then I heard there were questions about how IM spirals concept. So basically, the very short answer is they mix up the domains into every unit, but they focus on one domain in each unit, or 1 or 2. So I'll go into more detail about that too. So the Connecticut state standards, they have 4 to 5 math domains per grade level. And each domain has a variety of standards for each grade. It does vary how many standards they have. For example, there's a domain that's in K through 5 called algebraic thinking, and there's tons of standards in like first, second, and third grade, but in 5th grade, there's like 2 standards. So it's not, but they have, that's because it's so fraction heavy. So their domain of fractions, I don't know how many standards are fractions, but there's 3 units on fractions in 5th grade. So there's a lot of that in there. So it does vary how much each grade focuses on a domain through the Connecticut state standards. And then, so like I said, we have individualized data for each domain. I said that already. And so the domains do stay very similar in K through 5, and then they completely change in 6th grade. So it's not cumulative, but they have brand new domains that pretty much follow them from 6th through 8th grade as well. And even if there's not a domain, they overlap even though they're separated in the standard. So for example, you need numbers and operations in base 10 to solve geometry. So like you can't find the area of the rectangle without knowing how to multiply. So it's not like these domains are like mutually exclusive or anything. They do relate even if it's not the main focus. And so I know you have a copy of this, so I just put in the domains that come up in each grade. I'm not going to go over all of them, but you can see like counting and cardinality is just in pre-K and K. After that, that domain goes away. But if you keep scrolling, you can see K through 5 has pretty much the same domains. And then I put 5th and 6th together so you can see that they completely change. I line them, except for geometry. I line them up for our district, like the ones that are most related. So for example, fractions is most related to rates and proportional relationships in 6th grade. So those are pretty much what like are the closest to each other, but they all overlap a little bit. So, and then these are the ones for 7th grade to geometry. You see that functions is added in 8th grade. And then the domains in algebra and geometry are quite different as well. But it's high school math, so I mean, we offer both, but it's still high school math. So I put these abbreviations in the presentation and the grade levels that they're in only because my next slide I clipped from all the data sheets. So you know what all those abbreviations that I put in there. So these are the data sheets I set up for next year. And so you can see for each grade level, what domains IM focuses on. So if you take kindergarten, well, unit 1 is just, here are math manipulatives, like don't put them up your nose type of thing. But like the second, like their unit 2 is like counting and cardinality. If the main focus was 2 domains, I put them both in there. So for example, unit 2 is geometry, but it's really heavily focused on counting and cardinality too. And then all the grades have putting it all together, which it focuses on everything. We normally get to that unit in the lower grades, but not yet the upper grades. But you can see, for example, 1st grade starts their whole year in algebraic thinking, and then moves on to other domains. So algebraic thinking is very heavy in that grade. So the rest are the same thing. They're all color coded, so you can see how they match. And yeah, you can keep going. I put all grades in there. So, and then you can see the big shift in 6th grade where the domains completely change. And then 8th grade has functions added in. So they are spiraling in the program too. And just because there's a major domain there doesn't mean that the other ones are not being used. It's just not the main focus in that unit. Oh, and then so if the tier 1 reteach doesn't work, these are the steps we're taking to see, to get students into tier 2. So the first one, we look at both the unit tests and MCAS, and we see who's below benchmark in a domain. So all of our, that's one of the reasons I color coded the data sheet, so we can see hey, if this unit test is low, I know what domain I'm focusing on for intervention if tier one reteach doesn't work. And then the students who are below, they'll receive a diagnostic test. So the first step is the benchmark test, which everyone takes. That's M-Class, Acadians. Then the second step is the Bridges. This is Bridges Tier 2 program. It's the and it is the diagnostic. So they have placement tests and Bridges. We use that in K through 6 because it goes to K through 5 standards. And then Math 180 is a new program that we got this year that is we're just using grades 7 through 8, maybe eventually in sixth grade. But typically in intervention in 6th grade, they're doing in tier 2, they're doing 5th grade standards. Then the classroom teacher and the interventionist take the tier 2 groups. That's dependent on at least 2 times a week for 60 minutes. That's dependent on the schedule availability. Occasionally, very occasionally, I take a group if the schedule's full, but that's also to help me see if the system that I'm doing is working, because I can see, how these steps are working with kids I'm actually working with. That doesn't happen much though. And then the teachers need to progress, and the interventionist will progress monitor every 5 sessions. They have progress monitoring every 5 sessions Bridges. They don't really in Math 180, they have an exit ticket. So I've been taking the exit tickets in Math 180 from every 5 lessons and putting them in putting all 5 together, so then we can have our own progress monitoring for that. It still comes directly from the program. It's just that instead of doing 1 problem a day, we're going to do the 5 problems as a progress monitoring after. And then they should also take the M-Class progress monitoring, which is on grade level. So when they take Bridges in Math 180, it's below their grade level because that's what you're working with them on. But then M-Class is on grade level. It does not actually, I've done this in like 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade this year. It takes them only less than the 30-minute session typically to finish both of those. They're not long assessments, they're very short. So it's just kind of a quick check-in to see if we're on the right track. Okay, so no. So then we record the data, and I made separate tier 2 spreadsheets so to see what their progress monitoring scores. So it lists every student in tier 2 intervention. And I made it so the data sheet will follow them through from kindergarten to 8th grade, so that they can go back to any year and see who was in intervention and how they performed. Then students can exit when their progress monitoring is on benchmark 1 to 3 times in a row. That's the M-Class is on grade level 1, and their corresponding IM unit assessments are above 80. We also want to see each program, of course, has a different cutoff. They decide as mastery, like one of them's 80 and one of them's 85. So we'll also follow those guidelines for the off-grade level progress monitoring. And the reason I say 1 to 3 is because sometimes a student who gets benchmarked, you want to see a couple more scores before you exit them. But then from a logistical standpoint, sometimes your whole group will be at benchmark and you want to change the domain focus. So it's really dependent on the specific kid and the group you're working with. And then and then students will move to tier 3 after their if their Bridges ends or Math 180 progress monitoring is below 70 to 75%. Again, that's different in the different programs. That's why there's a range on 3 or more tests, or they stay at well below. So even if their off grade level progress monitoring is good, if they're not closing that gap after like a couple cycles, then we need to still give them more support, because they might be doing well with what you're working on them with, but they're not closing that gap. And that's why we have the on grade level. This year in the elementary school, we were actually able to put some students in different tier 2 groups through different domains. So they could take like 2 tier 2 groups simultaneously. That is a gift when it works on the schedule. It doesn't always work out that way. And then the parents are contacted by the classroom teacher when they start the support. If parents want, they can request progress monitoring scores, but we also contact them when students move tiers or change domains. So, yeah.
So one thing I want to chime in for that is a big deal that you don't see in what you just described is the most districts pay huge money for some sort of data warehouse. We don't have that. She's created all that herself, color coded it all, so the teachers, who's entering data?
Oh, I am, yeah.
So all that information is there, so you can go back and see the prior history, and it's coming through her. She knows all the kids all the way through. But I just think that's really important for you to understand, like, that doesn't just magically happen, and it's part of her role. And if you could see the spreadsheets like on steroids,
I do.
it's, so, yeah.
I apologize in advance. Math is not even close to my thing, but I worry about my kids, their math, so I'm a perfect parent to ask, I guess. I am concerned about the trajectory of students from Hall to EO or to Wyndham or wherever they go next. Do you have any information on how, like, what is being set up is informing their future at EO or whatever the next phase is?
So, 2 years ago, we started an accelerated program for students who are on track to be in Algebra 1. So now they don't have the gaps. Because usually we used to go from grade 7 right to Algebra 1. And then there'd be gaps in the 8th grade standards. So that's been set up for like kids who need more. And we also have started, because Mansfield offers it and Ashford's been trying to offer it, we also are offering an online geometry course for kids to take simultaneously with Algebra 1. The parameters for getting that is really high though. We didn't have any qualify this year, but we have some for next year, which is awesome. And then this intervention system is the same thing across the board, like with when kids go to tier 2. One of the things I'm really pushing is that if a kid, I feel like sometimes it's easy to say, especially if there's a lot of low kids, like this kid is fine, they function okay. But if there's that gap, I'd rather have them be in a tier 2 group and, for 1 or 2 cycles and close that gap than, to wait until that gap gets larger. So I'm really pushing that even if their composite score in MClass is on benchmark, if there's a below anywhere, I still want them to take a diagnostic and see what group they need to be in.
I appreciate that, kind of drilling down, because I think that's super important, and those are the things get overlooked. If I'm sitting in a parent-teacher conference and I'm saying, but this is happening, I want to be able to understand what the remedy is for that.
Yeah.
And I just have one more question. So I saw in the notes that parents are contacted. When in this sequence does that happen?
So it depends on when the kids move to tier 2. Because tier 1 reteach is extremely common. So that wouldn't be like, maybe it would come up at a conference or something, or if you have specific questions or updates. But tier 1 reteach is typically just like a quick thing. So if that's not working, then parents are contacted for tier 2.
So what if, hypothetically, a student was needing to do the reteach on a frequent basis for lots of
then they'd be in
skills?
tier 2 by then anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, like if tier 1 reteach comes up a lot, then mostly they would come, all the data would come up as them being in tier 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Is this like an alternative to IXL, or is it completely different?
It's different. I think IXL is isn't an AI math program where so yeah, we all the practice is being done with paper and pencil, and teachers not. And the assessments are done
like that
on that, but although the boost activities, there are a couple online components, but mostly it's printables. And so occasionally the kids will do some practice online, but not anything like IXL where they're supposed to go.
Where it's all online.
Yeah, the fluency cards that I talked about, those are daily, but it's 5 to 10 minutes a day. It's not a lot. So they can even do it like in the morning when they arrive or something at center anyway. So.
Thank you.
Then last meeting, we talked about, sorry, apologies everybody, family. I was online, but I wasn't here. Last meeting, there was a situation where you had essentially an entire class take a dip in a standard for math, and this looks a lot like there's individual attention given to students. I understand that math overlaps myself. I mean, I'm a big math guy. The problem is, if you take a major dip in a standard, I understand that standard's gonna go forward, but then everybody's gonna struggle and try to claw back up. Even if you touch on it in another standard, you're gonna struggle with that standard going forward. It just kind of builds on itself. So when you have a situation where you have, and they weren't all like ones, but they took a noticeable dip in that particular standard. What do you do does this allow for, flexibility in the curriculum to say, all right, obviously everybody's not getting this. We have to focus back on this. We can't and have everybody miss out on this.
Yeah, that would be that's not in my presentation, but that would be a full class tier one reteach. So the tier one reteach I was talking about is when a smaller group doesn't perform, but that's a good question because they would have to stop and reteach the entire class if most of the class is not getting it.
Is there any kind of threshold that determines that, or is it kind of just feel of the teacher?
Unit, yeah, I'm trying to get away from that. Unit tests, I mean, not that it's valid evidence, like teacher anecdotal evidence is valid, but if the unit tests are very low, or if there's a question on the unit test that they all miss, if there's a question on M class they all miss, that would be when the tier one full class reteach would happen.
His connection right now is to report cards.
Okay.
So if you can connect to that, I think that's helpful. So if we see, and that's where it came on, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at the report card grades.
Okay.
And it was, I think, on the elementary side and specific standard and looking at a number of ones and twos. How is that impacted? Is the expectation that if you're getting a 1 or a 2 on a report card, you're in a tier 2 or a tier 3? Or
maybe not I would say 100% of 1 would usually be tier 3. 2s would almost always be tier 2. Yes, if you got a 2 on a report card. It could be that they would be in tier 1 reteach because it really is dependent on the kid, but mostly if they're in a 2 for that domain, then they would be in tier 2 intervention as well.
And they would continue to address that skill through that intervention, through that tier.
Yes.
Beyond that report card. If it's a large group, I think to Arthur's question is how would that moving forward? Is it when that standard comes back around, now the teacher has that data, they know they're gonna spend more time on it?
No, well, no, because if it's, when they come to the standard again, it's gonna be building off the other one, like the previous unit. So if they have a part where all their unit test scores are low, that tier 1 reteach has to happen like right after that unit test. So we did that once, I think I can't remember what grade it was, but we did that when more than half the class was like below 80%. And it was such an important skill that we just did it with everybody just because the practice was useful. And there is some flexibility in the schedule too, if we need to, because we also have to consider the amount of content to get through in a year, but I still would rather have 1 unit tacked on to the next year that they didn't get to because they were teaching something else fully. But we can't like stop and spend like 3 months on, 1 standard like that, but hopefully that won't happen.
That was my follow-up though, is does it put them at a disadvantage then if you go back to spend time and now you need to accelerate faster through the remaining units in the year in order to catch them up and make sure they're ready for the following year?
If that is going to happen, then we have to come up with another plan for the full class tier 1 reteach. If there's still many kids below the standard, we have to say, oh, we're going to actually do tier 1 during math center time or something like that. We can't do that because math is so cumulative that if we don't get, and it's really hard to get through, like there's this joke about like math teachers never wanting snow days because they're so far behind in the pacing guide and stuff because the pacing guide is very intense for math. So, we would have to at some point move on because there have been, not necessarily here, but some teachers in my career where they would spend so much time on 1 unit and then they would be so far behind for the next year. So that can't happen. Yeah.
While Heidi's sitting here, I can throw the math computation and M-class math data up. It might not be a bad time to look at that. It's on your agenda. It's just later while she's sitting here. If you are okay with that.
Yeah.
Do M plus first because it's the most.
They're side by side.
Okay, cool. Because the M plus is the most. It's like everything in Acadians is just straight rote computation. So.
Let's see if we can. So your Acadians is your B, C, and D. Yes.
What's that?
Your Acadians is B, C, and D,
Mhm.
call them B, C, and D, and your M class is E, F, and G. And they're fall, winter, spring. And so obviously, I'll give the first grade example to me is the best one on when you look at M class and you look at 2 at the highest level, then 15, then 22. That's what we'd love to see for everyone. You don't always see that.
Make it a tiny bit.
Yeah, I can do it.
That's better, thank you.
So as you go through this in kindergarten, doesn't do the Acadians.
Yeah.
So Heidi, anything you want to add to this is?
Yeah, we're seeing the biggest growth in the lower grades right now. Not that it's not happening in the upper grades, but now that teachers are more no, I am better. And this 3rd grade was the first grade, to have it since kindergarten this year. We're seeing lots of kids above grade level now.
We have this.
This is all part, this is in your data drive, yes. Yeah.
How do you account for the difference?
What's that?
How do you account for the difference between scores between the 2 programs?
Between the 2 tests. So Acadians, the difference is that, M class tests all math, everything, and it's not timed. Acadians is a rote timed test. So that's where we really need to focus on because students need to know their facts and I'm not somebody who thinks, I do believe in kids learning facts through number sense, but also they need to know them fast. So, that's more I am really focuses on, the critical thinking and everything, which is much harder than the rote computation, but the rote computation is still a huge need to be focused on in the grade levels. That's one of the reasons I think, you may have missed it, but that's one of the reasons I'm doing the diagnostic for every 1st through 4th grader. So I can pinpoint exactly where those, they're struggling with Acadians, with the rote computation.
Because it slows them down.
It does when they get older, not now. And I think the other tricky thing I know the other tricky thing for teachers is that if you're in 1st grade and you're counting 9 plus 4 and you're doing this, that's perfectly acceptable and fast enough to do 1st grade math. But if I'm not thinking I know 9 plus 1 is 10 and 3 more is 13, then I can't do this until I'm in 8th grade, right? Fingers are great, they're free manipulatives and they're really help kids, but we still need to set them up to get away from that. Even so, in all of our grades, same with multiple kids. I just use 1st grade as an example, but that's true in every grade.
Any other questions for me?
Do you have specific test taking strategies? Because looking at 4th, 5th, and 6th, right, they are well below. And
yes, they are.
But their scores on the cumulative, when they're not timed, aren't bad.
Yes.
So it speaks almost like a test taking shortfall where you're not fast enough because you're under a lot of pressure when you're timing, but it shows that more kids know the knowledge than or know the math than it actually shows in the cumulative test. So what are the strategies now for what's a top strategy now for that kind of quick thinking?
So with the older kids, we have been prioritizing because they didn't have that. This is a new initiative from a couple of years ago. So this fluency should start right in 1st grade, halfway through 1st grade. And so because they didn't have it more than 2 years ago, we've been picking and choosing what to prioritize. So we've prioritized multiplication, for example, because that's the most important thing for them to notice. So we're still working on teaching them the rote memorization of things from 4 or 5 years ago that we didn't have. So we're doing in the time allotted that we have to do this, we're doing what we know are the most important things, or we'll line it up with the interventionists at the middle school, and I will line it up with what unit is coming up next. So if we're saying, in this unit, it's very, there's a lot of multiplication skills that are needed, we'll do that. Or if there's addition and subtraction of decimals or something, we'll work on addition and subtraction of whole numbers. So it's just a matter of time and trying to catch up from all those years that they didn't have the fluency practice. Yeah.
And you said third grade is the class right now that started off with?
With IM. So they started IM in kindergarten. The fluency we've been doing for 2 years, because I did it after 2 years of training for IM, and then we moved to like focus on fluency and intervention. So that means third grade would be 2, because we start halfway through first, because kindergarten is too young. They're just learning the very basics of addition and subtraction. So we start fluency practice halfway through, like rote practice, I mean, yeah.
This is a crazy amount of work, I can say. Like, I taught IM forever, and I don't think anybody ever took the time to put it in a format like this. This is totally easy to understand. I love how you have shown the spiraling throughout the grade levels and the way that you've separated them, the domains. I love lots of color, of course, but the way that you did that too, it makes it really easy to find like the strands and the continuity and how things go all the way through. And thank you for including the algebra and the geometry. That's something really cool that our district is able to do, and it definitely sets kids up to be able to skip ahead a little bit when they get to high school, which is awesome. I think it really gives them a huge boost in confidence to be able to begin high school knowing you have something called algebra under your belt, because that word can be kind of jarring, alarming, scary as someone starting off their high school career.
Or someone's an adult as well.
Yeah. But just offering that to them, and it, like I said, it just sort of sets them up and makes them feel like, hey, I can do this, it's gonna be okay. And I know that your staff works hard to place students or make recommendations for placement. And that's really important. This is all really difficult work. I'm sure you can all acknowledge that you need somebody totally dedicated and fluent in a zillion different ways regarding math to be able to do. So you're an amazing educator. Thank goodness we have you. As I was listening, I made a long list of all of the things that you have to do as a professional in our district. And so I will keep this handy, so that if anybody ever wants to know what it is that you're busy doing, I can answer that in about 8 different ways.
Are you doctor yet?
I'm hoping in
Yep, girl.
But I might need one more summer. I'm hoping this is my last summer working on it. Yeah,
That's amazing. Thank you.
Big deal.
Great. Oh, also, thanks for having tier 1.5.
Oh yeah.
They don't follow, that's so great. That's so great. That's so important. I love that you said that. All right. Anybody else? Thank you. No, thank you so much tremendously.
Thank you very much.
You. Very cool. You've taken that back to first. Okay, wow, had a lot of voices coming in so far. Agenda item 6 is the chairperson report. I know lately I haven't had much to say for this particular part of our agenda, and that's because we have so much other really important work to do together. And we will get to a lot of the things later on in tonight's agenda. Of course, I did want to touch on the budget really quickly. We have to find a way to talk about $50,000 more after the last Board of Finance meeting. And I just wanted to say that that's a group of people who tell us what we have to do. And then as members of this board, we have to make the hard decisions so that we can adhere to whatever they ask us to do. Those decisions are really hard to make. We need a lot of help. They're often decisions we do not want to make for the simple fact that we don't think that's what's best for kids, and we don't necessarily think it's best for our staff or our community either. So often people at this table have to switch around hats and be mindful about which ones we're wearing at which time. When we are here and we're talking about budget and reductions that must be made, we have to understand that it is our job to take the recommendation or the requirement of the Board of Finance and use it. while trying to weigh that with what our community members have to say. And that is our difficult task and something that we all volunteer to do, believe it or not. So if people from the public are able to help, please do. And I hope that our staff and our students know that it is a challenging role for us here when we have to do those things. Additionally, this board is working on our superintendent evaluation that happens annually. Thank you to everyone who has gotten in your comments and your rubrics for the assessment that you've done so far. I am working on putting it all together. Something great about this board is they're never at a loss for words when it comes to talking about things that are going well and things that need to be corrected or improved upon. That makes the job of putting all those comments together very difficult, but worth it for sure. So I'll keep plugging away at that. We don't need to do anything meeting wise until our July meeting. So we're doing A-okay as far as our time frame goes. Okay, next up, let's hear from some different people. How about present to speak? If you're here this evening to share your thoughts or questions, that's great. Please just raise your hand virtually or in person, and you're going to state your name and your address for the record. All right, usually I go to the room first. Today I'm going to start online. Oh, we have a 5-minute timer. Thank you, Mr. John over there. All right, Jim, do you want to kick us off?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Hi, yep.
Beautiful. Hi, everybody. Jim Marshall, 46 Fisher Hill Road. I also serve as the chair of the school building committee, as I'm sure you all know, but for those listening online and viewing the meeting after the fact. I just wanted to have say a couple of brief comments on behalf of the school building committee specifically. It's become apparent through the Board of Finance meeting last week, as well as certain comments on social media, that unfortunately the work of the school building committee and the discussion of the operating budget of the Board of Ed is being conflated in discussion. And I just want to make sure that we make a point now to clarify for those listening that the work of the school building committee and the operational budget of the Board of Education are two separate things. They are not related. There is no funding for a future school building project in the operational budget of the Board of Ed, and the project is not influencing the Board of Ed's budget. It's what is going to be important, and where the two will relate down the road is the anticipated operational savings and operational budget reductions of future operational budget for the Board of Ed when schools are able to be consolidated. Those savings are likely to be significant down the road. I know you guys have that on your agenda tonight. I'm looking forward to hearing it. But just to be clear, nobody in town has voted on a school building project in 3 years. The votes you've been taking are operational budget for the school only, and that there is no funding related to this for any school project work. That committee work is ongoing separately, and a future school building project vote is anticipated for the fall. So well past this operational budget discussion. The other thing I just want to say briefly to both Phil and you guys on the Board of Ed is I appreciate your work on at our requests and on our behalf in looking ahead at what that future operational savings could mean for this community as we consolidate, if and hopefully when we consolidate from 2 buildings to 1. So I appreciate the effort you're putting in so that there is some substance, and that it's a very important piece of the budget picture for the committee's work, the project budget, excuse me, for the school building committee's work. So I just appreciate all your efforts, and I look forward to hearing that discussion tonight as well. So thank you all for your work and for helping the work of the school building committee. So thank you.
Thank you. Needy? Hi, Needy, are you ready? Thank you.
Sorry about that. All right. So I have noticed that in the previous Board of Selectmen's meeting, as well as several times on social media, it's been mentioned that the reductions to the Board of Education budget isn't a quote unquote decrease. However, what everybody seems to not be taking into account is that although, yes, the dollar amount of the budget being proposed isn't going down, in other words, it's not being cut, we're not taking into account that these numbers don't keep up with inflation. With that being said, I did ask a friend that's better with numbers than I am to adjust the numbers to what our original numbers would be if they were up to inflation. So for the education budget to be up to the 3.1% of inflation, which this one would be without food and fuel, our budget with the starting amount of last year's $10,024,754 would have to be increased by roughly $310,457 for a total of $10,325,211. And then for that, if we were to be taking into account the food and fuel costs, this number, the original number, would have to be increased by roughly $440,000 with 649, which the total for that would be $10,455,000, and with $403. Sorry, so $10,455,403. In our reality, yes, each reduction is a reduction to the budget, which is in turn why we're having to reduce services as a result. I think this is really important to keep in mind as we continue figuring out what to do with these numbers. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go here in the room. Yes.
Willington 97 Trask Road. Good evening. I want to thank the board for the presentation tonight by the children. That was wonderful, as well as I follow the math curriculum probably as well as you did, your color-coded charts. It was interesting. I would like to know two things on a micro level. If I'm a student that, say, needs to catch up in fractions, can I do what like I might have done in those prehistoric times, where you would stay after school and a math teacher could help you to catch up? Or what I remember from my grammar school experience, summer courses that you could take, kind of often algebra, in my case was true. Is that an option for our students? Kind of addressing what Art talked about with catching up. On a macro level, I'm curious to know, with all of that process that we heard in the curriculum, how close are we to achieving state competency levels in math, or say 90% plus of our 8th grade class that leaves our students, the end result or product? Those two things interest me. If that can be answered at some point in your own discussions. With respect to the budget, I understand the task before you. You need to decrease the increase based on the result in the referendum or the referendums we've had to date. I would ask that this board consider all options. We've seen the reductions proposed by the superintendent, and I would like to see those potential reductions expanded to the areas of administration and overhead, not just things like school clubs, sports, and other high impact programs or areas that directly affect students. But I hope that discussion goes well after this or during this meeting, and I guess, again, after the results of the next referendum. Thank you very much.
Thinking about it.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Adam,
Yeah.
Adam Salonis, 119 River Road. Just want to touch on a couple things. I am on the school building committee. That project is completely separate from this budgetary discussion. Nothing we do here on voting or budget has anything to do with that. So just want to make that clear. Jim said that too. So when you're voting no for this budget, you're not voting no for the school. You're voting for what we're trying to keep our school running.
And if you're voting yes, you're also not voting yes.
Yes, and if you're voting yes, you're also not voting for a new school. It's completely separate. So just want to mention that again. Other thing was on the math side of things. I have seen improvement in some of the scores. It does seem to be helping the additional work we put in with the tutor. On the, I guess the two ends of the spectrum is we have a kid, we talked about the tier help, but on the other side of the equation there, when we're up higher, the ones who are excelling, how far can they go? What are the limits? And, you know, if we can give them the information they can use to keep learning to keep going further, I think that would really help them. I know we try to target, was it algebra and geometry in 7th and 8th grade, but I mean, from my personal experience in math for engineering, you need calculus in high school, really. So to get there, you need algebra 2 in like a 8th grade setting, at least, to have a reasonable shot at it. So I know that seems like a far stretch, but anyway, having that sort of opportunity for the kids that really can excel, so we don't restrict their ability to learn. So I'm not sure how we can achieve that, but I do think that's important. On the other side of the spectrum, letting kids expand and have access to the knowledge. And then the other topic would be homework. I understand we don't give it in all school. I know we don't give it in pretty much in center school. I'm not sure why that decision was made or when it's being reevaluated, but I know we have in high school. We have homework in high school. So if we don't have practice doing homework or how to do homework, we're not learning those skills, then I think you're gonna have a really hard time being an EO Smith. So, and I know we're not interested in per se giving homework, but we need to at least develop the skills to do homework, you know, the study skills. How do you do homework? I mean, they've never done it, then how are they gonna know what a good practice is, how you do it well? So I think we need to really look at that and consider that as a preparatory skill for high school. Because you're gonna have homework in high school. It's reality, so. Anyway, and last thing I had was on the budget decrease, looking at the math, we're talking inflation. I think, was it 3.1 or only about 76,000 away? So I'm not saying that's an easy number to reach, but it's not impossible. So.
Thank you. Anybody else here? All right, going back online, Mr. McCoo.
Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening, Mike McCoo, Clover Springs Drive. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry the board has to make these decisions tonight, but I understand that you are preparing to do that. And at this point, no matter who agrees or disagrees with it, it's the job that must be done. So I respect you for whatever comes next. And I am hoping we find a way to make the least impact on the educational experience and educational quality. But I also know that the community has, in voting, has said that they want it to change. So again, I don't envy the position you're in. On a more positive note, I want to express a heartfelt thank you to all the work that Carrie did for the keeping the PTA moving, just like anyone who came before her in that organization or in other of the multitudes of organizations that require volunteer effort in the community, particularly in this day of divisiveness and less respect for people who do dedicate their own time to public service. I wanted to be sure to make note of that and point out the people who are embracing the true meaning of community, which I really hope to encourage. And I hope our community shows all the good that is in this community and continues to look more to that and away from the divisiveness and embrace this community we're all part of and support this community and think of the comments we make and think of the decisions we make and think of our contributions in more of a sense of supporting the community and sort of embracing and putting our arm around Willington, particularly now when through social media our community is all over the world. It makes it easy to not look inward, and I think we need to keep an eye on home plate. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, there will be another opportunity for present to speak at the bottom of the agenda.
Is there a reason why somebody tries to, I don't know, I'm just asking.
Okay, communications were received from Riondo and Sons Logging, Fremont, DP Watts, and McCoo, and there have been 7 FOI requests since we last met.
Most of those FOI requests, it feels like, so you know, it seems like we answered an FOI request that was looking for vendors. And as soon as we answered pretty quickly, we started getting the FOI request after FOI request. Email addresses, staff email addresses, it's vendor usage, it's extensions. On? No.
Challenging to do, but legally acceptable.
Yep.
So thank you for all of the time that you have put forth towards that, including Brianna and all the other people who I'm certain have helped with that. Okay, next we have Anne with us on Zoom. And you may notice a vacant seat here at our table. That's why agenda item 9 says potential appointment of new Board of Education member. There's a lot to this, I want to make sure I do. All right, so Samantha has officially resigned from the board, citing personal reasons. I'm sure that many of us have valued her opinions during her time with us, and certainly she's contributed an awful lot to our work. Sam made sure to always speak on behalf of the public, and she's really great at out-of-the-box thinking. I love sometimes she would like say, give me a minute while I think this through, or I don't know if this is a silly question. That just always meant it was going to be really great, my opinion. So it was wonderful to have her. I certainly would like to thank Samantha for her service here on the Board of Education. We wish her the best, and I look forward to seeing her around town and maybe someday in those seats, perhaps even in these once again. So to move forward, the Republican Town Committee has put forth 2 nominees via a letter that we all received today. I see that both candidates are here tonight, although hiding a little bit in the back there. Hi. So I needed to check in with you both. Jamie, do you accept the nomination? Yes. Great, thank you. And Peter, do you accept the nomination? Yeah. All right, awesome, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to put yourself forth for consideration? Okay.
They can't unmute right now?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to allow that for a moment in time?
Raise their hand.
Or then let's just say raise your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Raise your hand if you would like to put yourself forth for consideration online. You see them? No, it has to be yourself.
Dee's hand just went up.
Okay, Dee Dee?
Let me
Oh.
just, hold on.
Am I supposed to say something?
Are you interested in nominating yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, can you go ahead and state that?
I am interested in nominating myself for the seat.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Great. Okay. Each nominee will now have 1 minute to tell us more about why you would like to join us and also what you bring to the table. I know that's a very short period of time, so I'm gonna jibber jabber like this for a second so you can get your thoughts together if you haven't yet. Jamie, do you mind scooting over just one? I don't know if that's helpful to just yes.
You mentioned limitations on the pending.
I do not.
What?
I do not.
You do not?
I do not.
You get what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah,
I don't know how it works.
we'll check in when.
Yeah.
When it's how about that? That seem appropriate? Okay. All right, so what we would like to know, we have, read the nomination from the chair of the RTC, so we have some information about those of you in the room. Thank you very much. You both are certainly upstanding, citizens who give a lot to our community, so thank you for that. And, Dee, we're getting to know you too. It's great. Thank you for participating. Okay, so, you will have 1 minute again to tell us more about why you would like to join us and a little bit about what you would like to bring to the table. There won't be any follow-up questions, so no need to fear about that. Jamie, would you like to start?
Sure.
Awesome, thank you.
My name is Amy Koprek. We moved to Willington in 2020. Professionally, my background is rooted in public sector finance and administration. I currently work for the Connecticut Airport Authority as a finance and lease analyst. Prior to that, I worked in the debt management division of the Connecticut State Treasurer's Office, and before that, I was in the finance office at Manchester Community College. My proudest job is being a mom to 2 children in this district, one at Hall and one at Center. I think I have a unique perspective given budget times because growing up in poverty by a single mom and growing up in East Hartford, I got to see both worlds, like how detrimental it would be if money was already tight and our bills increased, but then also how public school impacted me in such a positive way. I was surrounded by teachers who believed in me and taught me that where you begin. I try to always participate in the meetings and be an active member of the discussion. And when I didn't make the election in November, I told myself that I would continue to be involved in that. Hold on, sorry. I don't want to talk over.
Well, to be honest, 1 minute seems very short to me. So you have.
I was like speed talking.
It was, I know. 1:30? 1:20.
Oh, sorry.
1:20. All right. No, it's not you at all. That was up to me as the timekeeper and director here. But like I said, 1 minute seemed very short to me, and I was glad that you had the opportunity to share all that you had on. Thank you so much. Okay, Peter, would you like to go ahead with 1 minute and 20 seconds? Thank you.
Everybody, my name is Peter Bacon. I live at 18 Sharps Mill Road. I've been living in town since 2007. I'm very involved in the community. I am currently on the CIP. I am also on the school building committee. I am involved in the school as a coach, cross country, soccer, and baseball. I also help out in other towns, or have done for soccer and baseball, as well in other communities. Involved in the scouting program in our town. I am a former state trooper, correctional officer, also dealt with lawn care and whatnot. And I just want to bring to the community what everybody wants is to come in agreement, work together, support our schools, support our teachers and our students, and have a better education for everybody. And a great place to work for the teachers. That's all. So,
Thank you. And Dee Dee, we're gonna get you back up.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did the timer start?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure most of you have been hearing my voice a lot lately. My name is Dee Dee. I am a Marine wife. I too come from city dwelling, low income housing, poverty rates, so I can attest to understanding all of that. I'm essentially a coworker in my daily social worker, sorry, in my daily life, and I have to help people get through the crises that come up on a day-to-day. I was not expecting to be doing this, but I do have 2 children that will be attending the school system, and my main priority is just making sure that they have everything that they need. I've been working very hard to bridge the gap between everybody, and I'm really just doing all of this because I care. So that's it.
Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot, Dee Dee, but because of requirements, I need to ask you if you are affiliated with a particular party.
I am technically still registered as Democratic, but I've been trying to change it to unaffiliated.
Okay. Because of the makeup of our board, we need someone who is registered. No, we don't. No, we don't. Never mind. I have that mistake. It worked out because of the number. I thought it had to be a Republican. That was the seat that was vacant, but that is not accurate. I checked on that earlier today. Sorry. All right, so we have 3 nominees. Here's how we're going to do this. Hopefully you've all had a chance to read a little bit and hear a little bit so you know what you would like to do. Everyone will get 1 vote. Your choices of a response are as follows: Jamie, Peter, Dee Dee, none, or abstain. Are there any questions about our process here?
So we're voting all at once for everybody.
I'm gonna do a roll call. You're gonna tell me your answer.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Tracy. Peter. Arthur. Would you like me to come back?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Brianna. Peter. Jen. Peter. John.
Peter.
Anne.
Peter.
There she goes.
Arthur.
Okay.
Thank you. So we have Jamie, 1 vote, Peter, 5 votes, Dee Dee, 0 votes, which means that we'd like to welcome you into our board. Thank you. Thank you to the other people who have thrown your hat in the ring. We really appreciate you. That's not easy to do. We do hope that you'll be able to join us in some capacity at some point. That would be really great. Peter, you will need to see the town clerk to swear in. And then just let us know how we can help smooth out your transition to joining us, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
We'll set up training that he has to do training.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a requirement.
Another thing that we have to talk about, because Samantha actually had quite a few roles that she played on our board. She was the secretary of our board. I think I would prefer that everybody take a minute to think about that, and then we can do that vote the next time. Are you all comfortable with that? Is that fine in July, or do you feel that we need to fill that position immediately?
I think it's fine to wait. I'm not sure. I'd like to know what it entails first.
Great, okay, is that fine with you too? Alright, cool. And then she also was our representative on the school building committee. Yeah. Would you be willing to do dual roles for us since you're already there?
Yes.
Okay, to me, that makes the very most sense because you've been there since the beginning. And now I'm sure you've been studying, as in certain other nominees have been studying what we've been up to and what we're doing. So that would be great if you could just maintain that continuity for us, if you'd be willing to.
Yes.
That is, of course, Chair Marshall's decision along with the selectmen. So I'm not sure how you go about that.
Is it?
Well, I think it may be a bit complicated because Ms. Grosjean is serving on the SBC. She is not there as a Board of Ed member, but she does work with us as well, so it's a little bit.
He would
Techie.
be appointed as, if you're appointing him as the representative of the Board of Ed, that would be his new identification.
So that will be my position in it. We will need to communicate, I think, with those two other people though, just to make sure that we're all on the same page with that. All right, stupendous. Okay, thank you. Next is our superintendent's report, and Bill, when you get down to 10G 3 and 4, which have to do with the math, we already talked about it a bunch, obviously, because we were lucky enough to have Heidi with us tonight, but there were a couple questions during present to speak that I think we could probably address during that time. If that's all right. I just didn't want you to float through it because we did already kind of talk about it, but I would like to touch on those things then, please. Okay.
Yeah, I closed it, so that's what I just want
You don't need to bring it back. There were just some questions from people during present to speak that was about math that I think I can kind of touch on and help a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. So we're kicking off with enrollment. How are we doing?
So center school's at 215. It's the same as last month. All schools down 1, or 164. And the in district is 379. Still have 7 outplacements in the special education settings. Staffing, we had 1 change. We received a letter of resignation from Sarah Jean. She is the paraeducator who facilitates Rosetta Stone at the middle school. Sarah is doing her student teaching in the fall. And so she's going to be moving on. She's going into special education. So obviously we wish her luck. She's obviously wrapping up this year. That is the change in staffing. So that will be an open position. Keep going. Okay. The operational savings update. I updated the operational savings document. This is like a continued work in progress. And just going back and forth, having some conversation with Jim and making sure I understand what he's looking for and the SBC is looking for. I mentioned this last night, and this is different than what I showed you the first night. So the first night, no, you do not have a copy of this. This is constantly evolving. Okay, so the first night, what I showed you was this document here that had the names, if it was going to one school, or the both schools with the district, and the number it was going down to, and the red were the positions that we were going to, I would recommend removing. Okay, and then I put a dollar value to it. And what Jim has asked me to do is to if we were to take our 379 kids today, and we were going to go into one school today, what would the savings be? And this is what I've come up with. And what I'll tell you is this, I'm going to say this so clearly. This is for one school today. We have 2 schools today. You cannot compare this to 2 schools now because we have 2 schools now. If we were going to go to one school today, this is what I would recommend for reduction in staff. Okay. And the total just on the staffing side is almost $700,000. What I've said to Jim as chair is I've created 2 prongs as doing this. Prong 1 is if it's 379, I'll say that's the second prong. If it was the 519, remember I told you there are certain positions I would not support saying I can guarantee they're gonna be reduced, because if enrollment goes up, I couldn't guarantee, I didn't wanna guarantee them as savings. Prong 2 is, now I'm at one school with 379 today, what would the savings look like? Because you and I know that if something changes for enrollment, this would change. But today with 379, you need one principal, you need one nurse, you need one less custodian, you need multiple less secretaries. Those things are added up there and it's $688,000, okay? Again, I don't want to put the board, and this is why I'm battling a little bit for you on this, is I do not want to put the board in a position to say that here's the number, and then people are promising, here's the guaranteed operational savings, and it's this, and then enrollment goes up and it's not this. Because I guarantee if that's what happens, people will come back to this. Which is again, today at 379, there's your number. Questions about that operational savings?
Is that in the title just because if one doesn't watch this meeting and hear you repeatedly saying that?
It says it in the tab, no names, positional savings, 379.
Oh, okay. Got it.
The other caveat to this is there are several positions on here that you're currently considering reducing now. So this number could go down, decrease, if some of those positions were cut in their current budget. Questions about what they're asking for comparison?
I mean, are we going to be able to have access to this? I understand it's evolving, but you can have access to the document.
Yeah, you can have access to this.
I just don't see them good, so.
No, I can share this with you. I wanted to make sure I understand what the SBC, we had multiple email exchanges. I want to make sure I understand what he's looking for and what the comparison is to the SBC. And I've been very clear, I think, in my communication at that board as well, to say that I'm not guaranteeing that number. If we're at 379, there's the number, but if we're not, and it's higher, if it's over 450, this is not the number. So it's as of today, again, going to one school. They want to lock in on a number and
You will put in the document dependent on enrollment,
I
would say that, or?
did that on the other one and it was questioned. They wanted a hard number.
So, I mean, clearly that's not possible. So if you're, I mean, I think all of the information that you use is appropriate. What we have now for enrollment, what that would be combined into one school today. Like that makes sense. And if that's the number that they're looking for, then that's the one that we are able to provide. You're able to provide.
It's there, and that includes salary, that's actual salary and insurance benefits. Any dollars that are tied to that individual that would be reduced.
I think one of the problems that we start having is we start extrapolating and saying, well, if it was this, then it would be this. These are the numbers that we have now. This is what it would be today.
Which is why I tried to do two prongs, just to be clear. My communication was really around, I said, I think $500,000 is a fair number that I think operationally, you can say that pretty confidently there's going to be that savings there. This is higher than that, and this doesn't include that other tab that had electric and fuel and for center school, right? I think with the two prongs, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to say that if this were today, here's the number. If we increase beyond 450 students, this is not the number.
Well, I think that's fair, because from year to year, a population of one grade can go up and down, just like we just had a conversation last month about kindergarten. And then a different year, it's a different grade, and we've had that conversation about kindergarten in the past. It's just, our populations go up and down depending on the population of our community, and we have to ebb and flow with that. So it's a working document too. I know it's not a working document, but it's just, we're not talking about how many bricks you need in the building. We're talking about how many students and how to service them. So there has to be some flexibility in people's minds to be accepting of that.
I was trying to present this as a minimum. It was my point. It could be more than $500,000. I just was trying to present it as a minimum. And that's where this number here, this was the staffing side for 414. And then with the 414 plus the operational savings, that was 214. You're over that. I just feel like 500,000 was a safe number. I did not show this to the SBC last night because I hadn't showed it to you yet. So I'll sit down with Jim again now, and just see if this is more along the lines of actuals of what he's looking for. I want to make sure we can meet what he's looking for with also the understanding that there's some protection for the board and, quite frankly, myself, for someone to say, oh, Phil said we were going to save this amount of money and well, you got to cut out of the budget. And that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay. So that's operational savings. Radon, the radon projects, the mitigation projects have been completed, hooray. The follow-up testing came back with good results. I wanted to say positive results, but I think that was wrong. They were good. We will open the locker rooms back up for the start of 26-27. They're going to be fully cleaned. They just been filled up for so long. So that's great.
Can we add to the custodials just to check on the gauge every so often to make sure that it has airflow?
We have an electronic
alarm or something.
It's a gauge in there, and we can read it constantly.
Okay.
So anytime we want to go in there and see what it is in either locker room, we just switch it back and forth, and that's why we bought it. It was $100, but it was worth knowing what is it coming back to, and it's been pretty consistent for what the post mitigation results were. So.
I guess to John's point, is there some kind of like trigger to track that or have folks?
So any spot that has had prior, there's rules around this. So anytime that you've had a spot that's been mitigated, it's in your testing cycle. So we'll have to, next time we test, and we did the full boat. We did like 35 something tests, I think, all over. We started from that point now, so we have our baseline. We will have to go back to that spot, and that has to be tested every time we test now. That location has to be tested. Does that answer your question?
So how many times do you?
Annually.
Okay.
It's typical, is annually.
Okay.
And you can actually hear that it's on, like the mitigated spit. If you've ever heard one, it's just a pipe and you can just hear the air going.
And so if you discover that, those levels are not acceptable, how will you be communicating that with us and people?
Again, you mean if that happens again? So 2 things. First is I have not sent out communication yet with the final results. That will go out. And to say the process is done, I need to tell you first before I communicate out to everybody else. So that letter will go out. And then the second thing is in that letter, it says if there's any elevated levels above the 4.0 in the future, you'll be notified. The community will be notified. So it's just an automatic trigger.
Would that space be closed down for student use?
Temporarily, yes. And what's the mitigation you're asking?
Yeah, then what happens?
So they basically put in 1 unit in each locker room, and they can add units or they can strengthen them. So sometimes when they put in the unit, and so I'll give you an example, is the tests are coming back in like 1.2 range right now. Anything above 4.0 is you have to do, retest or you have to do something about it. So if that were the case, we would have to add another layer. In the plan that we had for the mitigation, it was basically, here's your cost for these 2 units. If you need an additional 1, here's the additional cost. And we didn't need it. But it could be added in the future if that were the case. That makes sense. Don't want to talk about radon anymore, by the way. But that's behind us. Climate surveys, the parent, guardian, and staff and student climate surveys were completed. The committee met for a second time last week to review the results. They identified themes out of each of the surveys, so repetitive things that they've seen. Based upon those themes, the principals will be drafting action plans. Those action plans will come back to the committees in the fall for feedback. I'll share more with you around the themes next board meeting of what those themes were. I'm also going to share with you, and part of the legislation requires that I identify the number of, there's certain, even though it's a climate survey, you have to identify the number of, like, did you clear a classroom? I have to give that information out in numbers. You don't get specifics about it, you'll get the numbers per building. So you'll get that next time. They call it the tiered response plan. So anytime in the climate legislation, annually, the superintendent has to report that out now.
Report, in what detail?
Number.
Just the number of surveys you get?
No. The number, so this is where it's weird, because they remember they lumped the bullying into the climate surveys. Yeah. So the surveys is like part of it, and then the action plan is part of it, and the third part of it is anywhere there's like bullying type behavior, I now have to report out that number to you. And bullying might not, they call it a tiered intervention is what they call it. You think behavior based. Brand new this year.
Okay.
Now we have to start reporting it out.
Okay. Do we get any ability to see any of these surveys?
I mean, there's, if you want.
Yeah, I would actually like to. I mean, you can pull whatever information if there's personal information or something, but I'd love to.
There's a ton of personal information there.
Okay, still.
That's it. I'm just telling you what there is there. Does the whole board want that? A lot of information.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that you're compiling the data from the forms, right?
Yeah, the committee identified the themes, not me.
Well, I'm interested in what the kind of committee level work. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. If that's not understand what you're asking.
Yeah, it is our data.
So
I know you are. I know you are.
That's all.
I'm just, I would like to understand what the committee's looking at.
Yeah, that's the themes.
Yes.
Yep. They
Okay.
identify themes for every single survey group. So parent, guardian themes, student themes, staff themes.
Well, you said you're gonna be able to share that in July,
The themes, yes.
and the action plans are being worked on.
Based upon the themes, they'll work on that this summer. We have some work to do this summer as a group. And then the group reconvenes and we'll review those action plans and provides their feedback and edits and things like that.
Okay. Maybe that information and a little bit more from the committee might be good to hear.
I'm not sure what that means.
I do not think that I need every single,
I mean, you'll see the action plans, is that what you're saying?
no, I'm saying I don't need to see all of the survey information at that specific level. I'm more in agreement with Jen as far as like, how's the committee? What are they finding? Big picture, a little bit of the bigger picture, like you're saying, the themes, and then I was curious about the action plans. But I hear you saying those are happening over the summer, so.
Yeah, I still want to do it.
I know, yeah.
How long would it take you to redact everything so Arthur could see it? Hours?
I have no idea, and I don't know that it is stuff that you'd redact. It's not personally identified. I mean, it's personally.
Well, that's the only personal identifiable
about staff.
redacted.
Parents don't, if a parent writes that, I would ask the attorney that question. I would ask a that question, to be honest with you.
Are there numbers the committee could provide you?
No.
That would be helpful.
There was nothing anybody could provide me that I can look at myself. That's.
Oh, I just meant if they already have it and doing it, then it might be a jumping off point for you or
No.
something. No. Okay.
Kindergarten enrollment?
Yep.
So, just like you said, Tracy, the numbers have adjusted. So, since your last BOE meeting, so we were planning on 41 students and 4 waiver. We had 4 waiver requests on top of that. Out of the 4 waiver requests, 1 student qualified and will be attending. We had 2 families who let us know that they're moving, and another student that we've now learned is attending a magnet school. So that brings our current kindergarten number to 39 students for the day. 26, 27.
Can we run the 2 then?
So I would say, to me, it did not change enough for you to run 2 sections of kindergarten at 20 and 19 with no support in rooms. That's my suggestion. I think it's leave the suggestion as well.
So you're saying to reassign the staff member down to kindergarten?
Reassign the current 3rd grade, I think, right? Was it?
Yeah.
The discussion for you was either 3rd or 4th, and my recommendation is more on 3rd. It's just a smaller group. If we suddenly see a big change this summer and enrollment in 1 grade, doesn't mean we can't pivot.
That's pretty hard for that staff member.
It's hard for that staff member either way.
Do you want to answer this meeting or next week?
No, I don't think you can, I mean.
Or that's just a decision that's being made, that's all. Yeah, that's all.
I think, Lisa, and you can chime in on this, I think the expectation is you're identifying someone to fill that role.
Correct.
And with the understanding that it could change. It, you know, it's what I don't expect is it to change. And this could be like multiple moves, so I don't wanna say too much and let her have the conversation, but if it was as simple as a specific grade level teacher goes to kindergarten, it could be that easy. It might be a multiple move thing.
I've had conversations with people who may be affected. They're aware, we're just waiting to move forward.
It doesn't, not having, I mean, it could change, numbers can change the sum. So we kind of are setting that plan, and whatever happens moving forward from there is, I think, we have to adjust. We've adjusted the week before when when we had a kindergarten, all of a sudden, I think it was kindergarten, all of a sudden had
We had a lot of families move in
spike.
August of 2 years ago. And so we had to make some last minute
Quick changes, and we did. So that's where we're at today. The student performance. Let me close some tabs here. So again, this is all in your data folder. The attendance data is updated. Again, you can look at the party school or dismissal, number of absences is I would say on the average side for both buildings. Again, where I keep looking at is not the 5, I'm not looking at the 10. I'm looking at the number of students that are absent for 20 or more days. And we're talking about 28 students that are absent 20 or more days. It's a lot. Questions around that?
Just making clear one more time.
Yeah.
So there's 163 students in the center who were 5 or more absences. Of that 163, 86 or 10 or more. Of that 86, 17 or more.
That's correct. Okay, the second section of data is your literacy data, your reading data. This is DIBELS. And so this DIBELS data, honestly, especially K1, it's fantastic. The composite score, and again, we're looking at, when we look at growth over time, 15 in the beginning of the year in the red, 2 down to 2 down to 1. That's what we're looking for. And then when you get to the middle school, they're doing Maze this year. And the administrative team has been having conversations about this, about data, specifically around literacy data, and trying to identify the right, twofold. One, to make sure kids can read, but two, also is finding avenues for predictors for SBAC. So we're looking at that, and we'll be comparing this data to how students are scoring on SBAC. We're not so convinced that this is going to be a good predictor of that, but it's something that we'll watch. It may be a predictor, and again, it's kind of like your comment about the cadence computation timed versus M class. And so this may not be the good predictor, but it is a good predictor of the ability to read. And so this is in your data sheet as well.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is that made, done, on a computer, or do you print them out and then enter the data?
Alicia?
On the computer.
It's done on the computer.
Okay, just, we've done it both ways in my district, and, our students seem to do better on paper, and then we enter it, it's very easy to enter. I just was curious, because
We've tried it both ways too in the elementary school. Yeah, because we do it in third, fourth grade.
Yeah.
And the teachers have tried to incorporate some practice maze questions in their morning work, just to get the kids used to it. And because it's timed,
yeah,
it's a quick, within 1 minute.
and the topics of the, passages sometimes are not relatable.
Very rigorous, yes.
I think they're getting more relatable as we do CKLA, because there are some units in CKLA that are background knowledge units that are, I mean.
Yeah, so they're probably helping, but it is.
Yeah, there are
some of the things are just like, the words that they use
yes.
are archaic and in terms of it being, and the kids don't.
They don't have any schema for that, right?
Not all of them, but one word in a passage can throw you off in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And so you asked me to address the catching up. What did you want me to address? It was around math, I guess it
So
could be.
there's a question about. Oh, before you, can I just jump back for a second? Is there any thought or mechanism to connecting or at least discussing the climate survey as it pertains to school attendance? Do those intersect?
They're anonymous. Student surveys are anonymous. We could probably look big picture, because I think it's
look by grade level, right? So you could kind of like cross-reference. If say 5th grade is our grade with the highest chronic absenteeism, is there a correlation between 5th graders who feel negatively about school?
We just couldn't guarantee who, if it was the same kids. Because it's anonymous.
Okay. Thank you.
That's something that we're talking about too. We're trying to just, I've had conversations with other superintendents about this time of year and doing climate surveys for kids and trying to get some more valid data on thinking about a monthly basis, something that's faster, snapshot, just regular check-ins, what's it look like? Not that the climate survey is that long, but just something that's a little bit faster, making sure we know where kids are at.
You have to do them for kids and parents?
The climate surveys for parents, staff, and students.
So could you stagger them? Like, could you do the students a little bit earlier so they're not feeling like senioritis of every grade, and then the parents a little bit later?
We did students,
A little bit earlier.
yeah, we did students like end of April, beginning of May. Okay. We did staff, May 22nd. Parents, I think we're in the middle of that time frame.
Even if we did quarterly, we might get something that's a little short snapshot, like, hey, where are our students at? It's the yes, no questions or smiley faces and frowny faces that we get some information on, but because it seems like a lot of the comments that we get, open-ended from students, are things that we could just address. We've got a lot of bathroom comments again. And so we have some bathroom work to do. And we know that. And it's like, the seams in the doors that we've addressed in certain bathrooms, and now it's like, they realize that's there, and it's like, can you address all those seams? Things like that, just privacy, there's some things like that. Heard on a broken sink. We have 2 broken sinks in center school right now. Yeah. One's in the staff bathroom, one's in the school bathroom.
That's it.
Yes.
Great, thanks. Okay, so I already touched on the math competition. That's the Acadian assessment.
Acadian too.
Yeah, okay. And she talked about the M class too when she was talking us through the assessment plans. So regarding a question about students staying after school or coming in the summer to catch up, what's great is that through creative scheduling and collaboration between a lot of different staff members, kids are able to do that during the school day, which is what's best for them and really what's best for their families a lot of the time, because we don't offer transportation after school or in the summers. So it makes it so that they're already where they need to be, already with the people they need to be, already grouped with the kids that are learning alongside them, which is pretty great. So takes a village to make that happen, I'm sure, but that's pretty important and cool that they can do that.
Marcia respond to summer.
Sure.
So summer school's provided, it's called extended school year. We hold it for 12 weeks in July, 3 days a week. And typically we find that it's students who are receiving services through special education, who have been identified through their planning and placement team meeting. Also, we have a limited number of students who typically fall within tier 3 intervention services who can be identified for extended school year also. So we do provide that summer school opportunity.
It's optional, and we send out a lot of invites.
Mm-hmm. Even better. Thanks for that correction. When trying to estimate how students are doing as far as achieving competencies in various arenas, grade 3 is the group to look at going forward because they're the ones who started with this programming when they were in kindergarten. And Heidi, we kind of all noticed, right, that K through grade 3, they were looking really, really good. So that is hopeful. And that's the grade to watch, is that 3rd grade right now, because they're the ones who've had the program the whole time they've been with us. As opposed to other grades that have switched programs and curriculum kind of along the way, which can make it a little bit more challenging for them. And then someone was talking about intervention being great, and we have all of our different tiers of intervention for our students, but also we need to be aware of our students who need acceleration. That's another great thing that we can do through tier 2.
And we are, I can speak to that.
Right, yeah.
So we do offer math enrichment at 5th and 6th grade. When we get into 7th, that occurs during our WIN block. And then when we get to 7th grade, we offer an accelerated math class, which prepares our students then for algebra in 8th grade. The opportunities we have for our kids to simultaneously take algebra and geometry is a really great model. And I've actually never heard of an 8th grader taking algebra 2, and I would question, I mean, with that, there are certainly exceptions to everything, but I guess I would question how much curriculum compacting would have to occur prior to 7th grade in order for that to be possible, right? So if we think about developmentally, a 7th grader may be able to grapple with pre-algebraic concepts, but maybe a 5th would not, right? And if you're engaging in that curricular compacting, what are the foundational skills that may be missed that lead to some gaps in understanding in the foundational mathematics that could impact a student's success at the high school level? With that said, I think for our students, right now we've got, as Heidi said, a number of kids who next year will have the opportunity to do algebra and geometry, start algebra 2 in 9th grade, which does put them on track to take calc during high school.
And it's not budgeted. Geometry is not budgeted. Gonna keep saying that. It's not in the budget. We are finding a way to put 9 kids into a geometry program that costs $600 a kid. because it's the right thing to do for kids. It's coming out of the REAP grant.
Just a side note, just because I'm on my school board too, the math class the math director at EO is offering accelerated math during the year to get students up to algebra 2 level that have demonstrated that they should be there or can be there and given enough work. So they will get there at the time that they'll get there, they get their test. So they can simultaneously take geometry and algebra 2 in 9th and get up there and be ready to go in 10. So that is offered in the high school too.
So even a student who doesn't take geometry in 8 can still achieve calculus by the time they graduate. Right. So, I mean, essentially you've got 2 tracks, depending on your developmental readiness, right, that still get you to achieve that highest level of mathematics prior to heading off to college.
Okay.
Can I do my look?
Yep.
So, I found out that you had voted on, requesting the funds from town meeting, for the school repairs. And I learned that it did not have to happen by June 30th, which I thought it did. It does not, because it's a transfer. And so Mike has other town meetings coming up. It probably is not a good thing to mix right now with the budget referendum, keeping it separate. And so he said, as long as it's done in time for he's got other projects that are coming up, we can do that. You also can change your mind if you want and when there's the budget and to see what it is, but it's in the works and the wheels are moving. It does have to, I sent my letter to the Board of Selectmen, but apparently it has to go through Board of Finance first. So it's gonna go back to them, just to move to the next step. So FYI.
Okay. All right, speaking of dollars, let's talk about what's going on with the latest regarding our budget reduction. We are at 350,000 cents on our original debt.
So the increase following the insurance decrease, after we learned where insurance was gonna land, was $687,000. That was to provide the same level of services as you have to 25-26. Since that point, $350,000 has been removed. We've had a pretty lengthy conversation in admin around their reordering of things. We're just gonna present some different thoughts for you and different ways you can look at this. Again, I'm gonna advocate, I think you need to identify something out loud that you are removing. It becomes some miracle happens that money falls from the sky from the state or something, and you suddenly have some funds. You can choose to reinstate something if you want, but at this point, I just have to recommend that. So I put together 4 variations of the same spreadsheet that you have seen on the screen in prior weeks. We've shown this several times. What I will tell you is that every single option in these reductions applies different levels of non-lapsing of funds. All are over $100,000 at this point in time. All of them remove special education, the additional special education supplies that were requested. All of them have the waiver savings of $40,000. All of them have the $20,000 in replacement Chromebooks out. All of them have the library books in the schools out, and 10% off of district supplies, which also includes the superintendent supplies. That is $9,700 total. My raise is out at $2,100. Those are out on every single spreadsheet. On the first page, and I numbered these for you today.
Sorry, Ann's not here with us in person, is it?
Oh, yeah. What's the matter, Ann? You can't read my page?
No.
I can take notes, Phil.
No, I'll get it up there.
Okay.
It's gonna be small, Ann. Sorry. So all the things I just said are right here, all right? And so on page one, what I did is you can see in the text in the kind of bottom right box, is what the items are now is what happens. So in this example, I'm upping your non-lapsing, you have $161,000 in that account. I have applied, $146,000 in this scenario. In this scenario, all 3 staff support specialists are eliminated. You need to get to an increase of $337,000. In this scenario, it is all of those items I mentioned. It is the 3 staff support specialist positions and sports. That would get it to $337,000. If you wanted to go further, you would just take away some of the non-lapsing funds and it would, the green line would drop lower. Is that clear? In scenario 2, which is page 2, it has $136,000 applied to non-lapsing funds. And I have moved up to line 18. Again, I'm giving you different scenarios here. I have moved up to line 18, the CES World Language teacher. That saves sports below. I don't think that looks, sorry, I'm gonna move that line over. So it would be the 4 positions. That gets you to 337. Again, that's with $136,000 applied. Page 3, scenario 3. Apply the $103,000 in non-lapsing fund. Sports are zeroed out, meaning they're not cut, but the sports equipment is. In this scenario, and this is what happens when you remove some of the non-lapsing funds. This eliminates the world language teacher, and here's where we have a change for you. In our discussions, we have gone back and forth around the intervention paraeducator position at Hall School. And one thing that is really important is trying to salvage the schedules that we currently have. And especially going into summer. With Alicia's new schedule at the middle school that you've already approved, starting to change other positions really does impact especially when it's unified arts, it impacts her schedule very quickly. And it changes a lot of things. This position currently, that individual is currently on leave. And what we've seen is that though it's hard, the staff that's there is managing. That's one. Part B of that is it's going to look a lot different in her new schedule next year because there will be more hands on deck. Don't get me wrong. This person still exists. They have a caseload that will be supporting students. But she has distributed some of that work across a lot of other individuals during the support blocks. So in this scenario, it removes the 3 staff support specialists, the world language teacher at center school, and the HMS intervention paraeducator. And page 4 is the last scenario that we did. And again, this can go in a lot of different directions, but this applies $143,000 of non-lapsing funds. We move the intervention paraeducator up above sports. It stays the world language teacher at center school and eliminates sports. When I say eliminate sports, it just, when I say that, what I mean is it moves to pay to play. None of these scenarios are good. And though the discussion has been that $50,000 is not meaningful, I would argue that it surely is greatly impactful because we're not talking about a ream of paper. We're talking about a person or a program or both. So without giving you 655 scenarios, because I could, try to give you 4 with varying, moving some positions around. to give you a sense of what you could do. I have heard some comments about wanting to save sports. It's hard to balance out programming and sports. I get it. So we try to give you a balance of examples of what could be done.
Can I ask why it's 337,000
Sure.
rather than the 50?
So the last budget increase that failed was $387,203. That was the increase. It was $387,203. So take away 50,000 is $337,203.
So that line below that. So we got here all the way across. This is the last. So you got across the cell.
So they did it by the increase.
Everything now is 50,000 below.
Yeah, okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I probably could have put the total budget number in here because this was my working sheet. On the light a little bit.
Okay. And it does need to be said that these are some options, there are others. We can certainly talk about other things, if anybody wants to throw out anything that's not listed on here or anything. Other scenarios. This doesn't have to be our end all.
I'm going to propose something that's counter to what we've been doing. I don't think we need to. I'm going to disagree with Phil. I don't think we need to discuss much else further, but we have a number because we've spun our wheels on this every single time, and this document in particular was all threatening by members of the community. Like it was something that we were putting out there in order to cast a cloud. So my idea is this is good for us, but it's nothing to work deeply into yet until you have a final number. And hear what the town people are willing to accept for a budget. When that number is there, then we can dig deep into the work and then we can dig deep into it and figure out what actually needs to be done. So, I mean, I don't think it's unknown to the town that everything's on the table and this document just kind of furthers that. But I don't like the stigma that it's got because it's not, it's just kind of what we're going through to try to make this work. So my idea is let's get a final number first.
Are you talking about after the referendum?
When we finally have a budget.
Rather than working hypotheticals and maybes.
I didn't know we could do that. I'm excited. Can we do that?
We don't have to make any decisions until there's a solid number, and then we have to work to get down to figure out how to get to that number.
Then it'll be a long way.
Then it'll be a long, yeah, but we have ground. It's not like we don't have ground. It's just so that's my proposal is that we know what it is. We know that it failed. You know, town people said no. We know what the board of finance said, and that's what we have to work with. And or that's what it has to be. Actually, I'm going to take that back. That's not what we have to work with. That's what's been put out there. We don't know yet if we have to work on an extra referendum, and we'll find out. And then once we find out for sure, that's what we work.
I think there's more information that we can glean from that budget referendum too, if those extra questions get done.
Yes.
Are you shaking your head?
I don't think I think I was in my office today or walking down the hallway and I do not think that went through today. I might be wrong about that, but.
Didn't sound to me like that was for sure.
I just said if I don't know.
The man who made that decision today is raising his hand.
The man, the myth, the legend. Mr. McCoo, can you help us out? Thank you. Elected.
No, I cannot.
Okay, back. What was you?
It says I'm not allowed to unmute. Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Okay, good thing I didn't say anything else.
Sorry,
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can leave me unlocked since I am a member of this board. I don't know if you can do that. The question cannot be added this time. There is a conflict between our town ordinances and the state law which allows it. And the town attorney said that particularly in this very carefully watched and divisive environment, it would not be a risk worth taking to add that question in because some people will interpret the strict language in the town ordinance in a manner that would allow them potentially to file some sort of either an injunction to halt the referendum before it occurs or to disqualify the results of the referendum. And we all know we are in that kind of environment where people will, will look for every opportunity to either feel that someone's doing something incorrectly or just look for any opportunity to sabotage the process. So the town attorney said, do not do it. The town attorney did say we could consider in the future revising our ordinances to make sure that it is allowable because it is allowed by state law. I would like to see it in the future. Unfortunately, it will not be on this particular, which is why we did not include it in the call in the Board of Selectmen's meeting earlier this afternoon. So it'll just be the straight question, as we've seen before. One other comment while I'm on, I definitely understand what you're wrestling with, and as an ex officio member, I won't claim to have a real strong voice in this decision, but I think one of the potential, sorry about the dog squeaking in the background, one of the potential downfalls of not picking where the pain is going to be tonight and saying, well, let's wait for the final referendum results to know how much pain, is that it may not make it clear to the people who are voting what this decision, what the ramifications of this decision are. If people don't know what either program it's going to hurt or employee it's going to hurt or service that it's going to hurt to lose the funding already, maybe it's harder to get them to support where we are. I'm just thinking out loud. I hope you at least consider that thought.
Thank you. It's disgusting.
We've done that twice. This is not new. We did it for the first referendum with the initial reductions. We did it for the second referendum with the additional reductions. This is not a new process. We're not going through this really any different than we did before. This is all.
My point. That's my point. Some hard decisions have been made, but a lot of hard decisions have been delayed, just as the Board of Selectmen has delayed the hard decisions on what to do with the 70,000 that was cut until we got through that and saw that it passed. I understand, but it's easier for people to vote no when they don't see that we're now going to have to pay to put kids in sports, or when they don't see that, oh, this teacher just lost their job, or this program is gone. I think it's so hard for things to be tangible to people that's my concern about this. It's a terribly hard decision to make, but I think there's more chance of a budget voted down again if people don't see what the pain is that the no vote causes.
Thank you.
Can I ask one more question? Well, Mike's on the call because
Sure, yeah.
there was criticism of the top three from the BOE. Remember?
I do recall that, yes. Mhm.
So I did a little research myself, just hearing what people said and the legalities of everything. And I know it was mentioned of a blackout period before, and Mike, this is why I'm asking while you're on the call. The problem is that language is not in the statute. So do you know where that language is about not advocating one way or the other as a public entity after the referendum is called? Cause I didn't find that in the statute referencing town referendums. So that's why I'm asking.
So I would have to go back. I don't have the stuff in front of me. There's a series of emails with the town attorney and interpretations and stuff. So I can't answer it exactly, but my understanding is that the town attorney affirmed that the intent is once the date of the referendum is set, that immediately starts the blackout period. That previous to setting the date of the referendum, you're in sort of an open all other time for the rest of the year, because otherwise the town could never advocate for any answer even 10 years from now. So there has to be some definition of the blackout period. The town attorney's interpretation is the blackout period starts when the date of the referendum is set, because that is when there is officially a question to be advocated for, yes or no, and you know when that question has to be answered by the people. But again, I'm doing that from memory. I will track down the specifics and get it to the board chairman.
I appreciate that, because I had always heard the same thing. So I should find it.
I thought I sent it to all of you. Do you not have that from the legal book?
I don't think so.
Or did I send it to Mike? I mean,
I don't remember
it's
seeing it.
straight in the education legal book, for sure. All of the references are there. What I can and cannot do.
I don't have it.
I can share it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Phil, would you include me on that, please? Because it may make it faster for me to track down the information I have.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is a pain.
I think let's just like slow down for a second and be open to conversation and discussion amongst ourselves about options and why we're doing what we're doing, other choices, and what we think is best. Because like ultimately, the Board of Finance says, here's your money. And ultimately, we decide how that's used. So let me put this to the group. Why do we have our superintendent make that lengthy, very detailed document explaining all of the things we paid for and about how much they cost estimated for the upcoming year? Why do we do that? Is it for us? Yes. Is it for the public? Yes. We could just be like, yep, we're spending $10 million. Cool. Thanks, everybody. But that's not the right thing to do. It doesn't help us understand. It doesn't help our community understand. So that's why he spends all that time on that document. And we collaborate, and the administrators collaborate, and the staff collaborate. That's why we have that, right? I'm not trying to be silly right now. I really need to talk through this at a very elementary level. So help me.
Can I make a suggestion to you?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a compromise to what Arthur's saying. I don't see any single scenario that you're keeping, take out the non-Nazi line I have. I don't see any scenario from line 1 to 17, which eliminates all 3 staff support specialists. I don't see a scenario where you're going to keep one of them. Maybe that is where you draw the line now.
Yeah, agree.
And then maybe after that, you can say, okay, we've been presented with several scenarios, like the next thing can be sports. It could be world language. It could be, here's the challenge. It's really easy for people to say cut $50,000, but we still haven't heard. We have weighed in, but we haven't heard the community say, we'd rather have this than that. So that might help you make your final judgment. The other point that I'll tell you is, if the referendum is leaning towards that June 30th date, you need a July 1 meeting, like the next day, because they got to build the budget in the program so we have money, which is not a one-day job.
Well, that's an assumption if it passes, because if it fails, we go to last year's budget, correct?
Correct, but Last year's budget is $350,000 more. Until the budget passes, and it's not gonna be $350,000 more. So they can start to build, like, the items that we have on that list are where the gray is right now. And again, this is, I think, part of Arthur's point too. I don't know if he means this or not, but top step teacher making $90,000 a year, taking family insurance costs $120,000, leaves and we hire somebody on a bottom step, there's a savings of $50,000. That happens this summer, right? So there, and that's what I say, you may say you're gonna cut sports, and this is the danger of that. You announce it early, people are like, oh, you cut sports, well, oh, they got sports back, how'd they do that? We just have to be very transparent about if those things do happen, how they happen.
So I think that the rationale for waiting is to get feedback from the community, would be my understanding. Is that at least a big reason that we would wait?
Or, I mean, in a very broad sense, yeah, because that's the determiner of the number, so.
So I feel like the only way to get feedback is to solicit it, because to your point, this has been out there. This is not a secret. These scenarios are not anything that we've been keeping under our hats. And each referendum had reflected people's opinions on what this has demonstrated. So I think that what you just suggested, Phil, like eliminating the things that we know are kind of unfortunately not able to happen, is a good first step. But then it's incumbent on us to figure out a path to solicit that feedback so that it makes sense to wait. Because if we're right back here in a month, less than a month, with the same information we have tonight, then we wasted an opportunity to have conversations, hard conversations in this period. I don't know if that made any sense.
I think what you said was, let's nail down what we know.
Well, I have something about that, right?
I was part of it, but let's see what Tracy has.
Probably not gonna like it because it's gonna add a little bit of time, but I feel like it's an elephant that has been in this room and on social media and at meetings and has never been completely discussed by us in this meeting format. It's been discussed in the past, and it's why we are not discussing eliminating any administrative positions. And I am not advocating for this because I understand, after being on this board for 8 years, my 9th year now, as well as the time prior to that when I advocated for the budget over and over for years. So my question is, the reason for my question is we need to address those questions that are being said on social media, in this room tonight, on Zoom by members of people in this room, other people, so we can explain clearly and be transparent that the discussion has been had. We have thought about it as a group, individually, with talking to administration, and why it can't happen. Now, I'm putting the people in the administrative positions on the spot here, because in the past, when this discussion was had, we told them a month ahead or a few weeks ahead during a budget workshop, to please bring an example of what your responsibilities are to show why we cannot eliminate someone, or why we could eliminate someone and the others could take over those responsibilities. So putting you on your spot, but in a few, could you share with us a little bit of your responsibilities? And my guess is there's not a lot of wiggle room in your schedule. I hate to do that, to you, but I do feel like it's a discussion that has to be had. I don't know if everybody else agrees, but like, we need something to share to the public that we have considered this.
Does that
and why it doesn't work. I don't know. I just feel like.
I feel like it's not fair to them to put them on the spot like that, but I agree, conversation should be had.
The last time this was discussed was, I think, 18, 19, around that time.
So I
I don't want you to answer that right now. It's 9:30 and it's not I wanted it to be very well thought out.
Okay.
You're gonna defend your positions, which I've already said you're 200-day administrators. You're already part-time. I'm very cautious of what someone's gonna take from 9:30 to 9:32, which is the time you're gonna speak. I'd rather have it be very well thought out and on paper for all of your job responsibilities, what you do. I would rather do that.
Thank you for being willing to.
I think it's a very.
But I think we need to share this with
It's
the
a fair
public.
thing to
I
do.
think the public needs to understand that we have thought of it. We do understand is not a possibility to bake for the best options for our students and the education that we need to be giving them.
There's 3 board members, I think, that have been part of that conversation and 3 board members that have not. Was that, what year did you come on?
It was after.
Yeah.
No, it was when you were the superintendent.
I know, I remember, because I'm the one that gave the presentation. I had already talked to Ken Craig about this, because he and I are the ones that gave the presentation. With Holly, we gave the list of all the things that we did.
And it was clear at that presentation that there wasn't any wiggle room. So anyway, sorry, Jen, I didn't wanna, I just needed to say it. Oh, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing that up, too.
Anne's got her hand up.
Yeah, okay, and
I also think we need to be considerate of the peoples whose jobs are on the line. Do they look for another job? Do they not? Do they have a job in the fall? I think we need to be considerate of that. And when thinking about the Spanish teacher, we know already that this is a shortage area. Part of the reason that we're doing hall school the way we are is because we have not been able to get a Spanish teacher. I really hate to see a proven wonderful person be let go in this day and age, where if next year's budget allows us to put the position back in again, we don't have the option of a person to fill that job. So just one more thing to think about.
And that person is very, very closely watching this competition. I mean, anytime I'm in center school, that there's a conversation in the updates, like they're watching, they're aware.
I have another question about the pay to play. I know how much it's been discussed in the previous meetings about how much it would cost. If a minute, so I lost it again.
240.
So would there be an opportunity for everyone has to pay to play, but if there are really unfortunate circumstances where a student really wants to play and cannot, could there be opportunity for scholarships from, I know, some fund, or could there be a parent group that could do some fundraising to make those scholarships? For instance, like, I mean, the club sports at E.O. Smith, I mean, I know this is a younger level, but club sports at E.O. Smith, there's a big parent advocacy group that helps to pay for the crew boats because they don't get paid for by the town.
No, I think the easy answer is yes. I think that, and there are already mechanisms in place that happen for other things. And I've heard through the grapevine, and I don't know if it's true or not, that the Hall Foundation had said they would consider sponsoring a student if, and again, I did not hear that from them. I'm just sharing. There's talk about that. We had someone donate a couple $1,000s this year for unpaid lunch balances. We've had people donate money for a variety of things, and people ask. So we easily could create some sort of, and honestly, I mean, this comes back to the DC trip a little bit too. Like, we want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to attend and that we have the scholarships in place so that we can just make sure that it can happen. And it's something that we can easily do and say, hey, we have girls soccer this year. We're looking for 3 sponsors. Anybody that's willing to do that, you don't find out who it is. It's just like someone bought the chairs this year. They donated money to buy the chairs. I mean, there's people out there that are willing to do those things, especially when they know how specific they are.
I don't think we have that opportunity for staff. That has to be part of the budget.
Yeah, agreed. So I think Arthur and Brianna nod when I said line 1 through 17. I just don't know if that was other people. Is that a compromise that, because what it would allow you to do is to say, we've been, $350,000 has been eliminated out of the budget. Here's the amount that has absolutely been identified so far. The board will be discussing where the rest of it comes from following the passage of the budget.
Not including the non-lapsing.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's a fine compromise, but I don't think we're getting away from any of that stuff. And while, I don't like the idea of not citing technology, it's not really, it impacts students, but at the same time, it's not impacting them like a person impacts them. So, it is what it is. But I think those are fine identifiables that.
Would you consider a minimum, Arthur?
What do you mean?
Non-lapsing?
Would I consider a minimum?
To have, I think.
Yeah, my minimum is $161,000. I am all for draining that account, and if we need money, we'll go back to the Board of Finance. I think the direction that we take, while I am a strong supporter of the board taking care of itself, I don't think that gets recognized. So and that's already in addition to the other $100,000 we've already put in. And I understand your point though, that next year
Kicking down the road.
you start the whole, I get that, but at the same time.
Trying to save it today.
Exactly. You don't know what's gonna happen, and there is a mechanism in place for that, for an additional outplacement, for something that goes wrong in the building, for all that. You go back to the Board of Finance and it's gotta go to town meeting and everything, but I think we're in a stronger position if we have to go to town meeting to ask for money from the Board of Finance for whatever it is, to say, the reason we're doing this is because we drained everything to get this budget as low as we could. And this is what came up. This is the emergency that happened. I don't see a lot of people in this town saying no to that if it comes to that point. I really don't. So
it's $350,000, and that's why I'm asking. If you'll put a number on that tonight, you have identified your $350,000. You could always come back to that, meaning do you find savings, and I'll give you the example. Again, the teacher resigns. I don't know this is happening. I'm just giving you the example. There's $50,000 in savings. You apply $50,000 less. You're planning on applying additional funds. If I take, and I'll put this back on screen so you can see what I'm looking at. Sorry, and that was not my intention, the minimum. I was just trying to get the minimum, to say a number. But if you take, and if you just watch the number from the bottom right, you take all of these things that you've now guaranteed, right? And you say, yep, staff support specialists are gone as well. That's $367,000. And that is not maxing out. And this is where I would say, if you want to do the 161, you could have a conversation of what of the items in this list you would want to put back in. But that's your $350,000.
Which scenario is that? You have the first one?
It doesn't matter which one it is. Well, I guess it doesn't matter because, so I can do the same thing on the 136 and it's going to be probably closer.
I would like to fast forward this conversation to next year's budget when we're in this exact same spot and have zero in the non-lapsing account. In fact, -0, whatever that even looks like.
I'm hoping when you see the budget report tonight that it's a little more hopeful. I'm still like every day there's something that I'm like, oh, that's not encumbered. Why was that not encumbered? But there's some money. We just had a special ed meeting that's come back. change in services, you're gonna see it tonight, that there was a big swing in special ed to help us out.
So my point, I guess, my overarching point is we have wrestled with this and then decided that we would, as the board, take the money out of the savings that we were using to keep ourselves afloat during the school year. So when that's empty, Arthur, I'm not sure I have the same faith that you do, that people will agree to what we need, because it's contractually obligated. We've had this conversation 100,000 times. The increase in our budget is almost all contractual and legal. So that's not passing. So if we have this outplacement, hypothetically, in our next year's budget, not that 161,000 would even cover that, or anything short of that would cover that. We would still have to go to town meeting. But I think people need to understand the predicament that we're in, because we keep not making people feel that by virtue of this stuff that we're doing right now.
Budget solving the problem.
I keep saying this budget is to the bone, and I 100% believe that. And then we keep going back into the mirror. Like, at some point, this is just not, I mean, I think we saw in the rearview mirror that this is not working a long time ago. To talk as a board about draining our non-lapsing fund if something happens, like not a special education outplacement, like if a boiler blows up, I don't know, I can't think of a bad scenario that we would use that for, but like, I really feel like we need to have some availability of discretionary funds for things like that. And we have not gone to the town purposely because we've had that money to pay for the outplacements, to pay for all this stuff that's come down. We don't have enough. I mean, maybe we have enough for one outplacement, which will bring us to zero.
The 161, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's a token,
161 covers an outplacement.
even if you leave enough in there, like $50,000 or something.
Yep.
To have some ability to navigate some minor emergency on an immediate basis. And then look at the budget and figure out what we need to do as a board to make decisions. I'm not suggesting tonight, since it's 10 of 10, like, I'm not sure that this is a 10 of 10 conversation, but I do feel like we have to, I am opposed to draining the entire non-lapsing fund.
Is there a number, Jen, that you'd be comfortable with?
I think we should at least keep 50 in there.
Have you worked with the scenario?
Yes.
50? There's no scenario in, there's one scenario in here that keeps 50. Scenario 3. 103, so it keeps 58. And that drops all staff sports specialists, the world language teacher, and the HMS intervention paraeducator. 50 is a lot of money. Every other scenario, it leaves 43, so 18,000.
Yeah, those are all updated now.
15,000 and 36 is 25,000.
But if we left the 50 and we had an outplacement, we'd still have to go to the town.
Yeah, you'd be down.
So can you just help me again, because I already admitted my math struggles. Can you just say how much is it saying somewhere?
60.
No, I know that, so
the example he's looking at is, I think page 3.
Yes.
That applies 103,000. We'll put this on the.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in this scenario, you would have, $58,000 left. I do believe you're gonna have some leftover money this year that could be applied to it. Do I think you're gonna have to get to 161? I'm not so sure about that. because it's the end of the year, there's still encumbrances that are going through, but that, in this scenario, that is the lowest amount, and what I just gave you, that's the lowest amount that I applied in any scenario. And in that scenario, it eliminates the three staff support specialists, the world language teacher, and the intervention para. Now, what I'll tell you is you could trade out and save sports. But you could trade out, if you wanted, the intervention para for sports, or you'd have to apply a little bit more to save the world language and get rid of the intervention para. It's just moving how much non-option you apply. But that's the scenario that does it. Every other scenario that I ran, that's why I started doing, that's what I did my D calculator too. You see the scenarios that I was running, I was like, okay, 143, 136, 146. I just kept applying more to save programming, feeling like we are gonna have a little bit turned back at the end of the budget. The budget right now report you have today at 76,000 today. I'm not saying that's gonna be the final number, it's the June report. But either way, you're in a gamble of, if something happens, you do have your drip funds if it's mechanical. You do have the ability to go back. Yeah, repair funds if it's fits the criteria. If it's outplacement related, honestly, we already capped out what we got this year. We put it back in as $362,000, 361 in excess cost. We don't believe we're gonna get more than that. And we've already capped that. So if we have another outplacement that comes forward next year, we're paying the full boat. If it's $400,000, you're gonna pay $400,000.
Isn't there somebody aging out?
But not until the following year, not next year.
Yeah, I was thinking the year after.
Correct. In the budget process the following year, yes. But if something happens during 26, 27,
it's on us.
You're paying the full amount, right? I'm not saying that wrong. We maxed it out this year and it hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
We planned another 40, we planned another 60,000, getting another $60,000, and we had to eat that.
Thank you. Andy?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Arthur. I think it looks like we may have something at the end of the year, which maybe, Jen, it could be the 50,000, so we do have that buffer. But I really think that we should be able to go to the Board of Finance if we have needs and say, we followed your lead, we cut the money, and now we're in a situation where we need some money to do whatever it is we would need to do next year.
I agree with you, we should be able to do that. We'll take it as a example. I don't know that. I mean, I guess it's a rock and a hard place because regardless of how much we have in there, we're still gonna have to go ask for the money. I think us draining to zero the account that we have used for all of the things that we've used it for, that don't necessitate us going to the town for money. I just lost my train of thought, sorry. I'm sure it was brilliant, but anyway, I don't think it's a good idea to go down to zero. I've been doing the math. There's one that's like 25, 24.
Scenario
2.
The 136, where you're applying 136.
Yeah. But like, again, I could sit here for 2 hours and go back and forth about sports versus world language. Like I would rather save the world language teacher and work on something for sports that involves the town or something. But that's, again, just moving pieces around. So I'm gonna just stop talking.
That's why I think that I like Phil's idea of stopping at the third step support specialist line in whatever scenario we're in and saying, this is definitely has to go because there is no possibility of saving that. Now below that, we can have further discussion when the number is more final. Because that then becomes the topic of conversation. Because you can play with an non-lapsing fund and then look at everything below staff support specialist 3 and say, okay, how can we give and take to make this work the best way possible? And once we have enough. I think that's a good compromise to what I was proposing.
But you want to know minimum?
No, I was just adding on to that point. Yeah, I mean, listen, again, I think the closer you get to 350, it lets people know what you're doing. So if you say, we're at least committing half of that, which again, that's more than, I think it's less than you want, but more than you would want to save, if that makes sense. You're applying 80,000 plus those savings you've eaten into the 350. If you're willing to say that, I think you're getting closer to that, and you can help people understand, like, staff support specialists are gone, all these other items are gone, and the board's gonna apply a minimum of $80,000 of additional non-lapsing funds. Is a way to do it.
I'm with Ann and Arthur on Grania.
Can I ask a quick question before I forget? I'm sorry, because otherwise I'm gonna lose it.
No need.
How can we be capped on outplacements if we get an additional person? That's my question. Like, I understand the number, your money you cap for your additional existing student. If you have somebody else, how can they cap you on reimbursement for an additional person?
They're not even paying us with their support.
Don't even get me started on that. but-
Their budget's their budget.
Oh, they can't pay it, oh my God.
And so what's supposed to happen from when you, and you can explain, you put in the changes, when you do your changes, March?
Yep.
And you're supposed to put in your changes, and anything changes, they're supposed to make the changes in the financial package and give you more or less, right? Well, that doesn't happen. We found out right in the first payment this year, like, you got $359,000, and oh, by the way, your next payment is $2,000 because the budget's the budget, and we don't have more than that.
And they don't give you a very clear explanation of exactly why. Like, they don't break it down per student, how much you're really getting back. They just give you that lump sum and say, this is what it is. So it leaves us kind of in a guessing game.
Every district in a guessing game, they have underfunded it, and they knew they underfunded it prior, even during budget conversations, the number they put out, they already knew they underfunded it.
I know that part. I just didn't know it was actually
That's why
a cap versus a student cap. Okay. Perfect.
I think a good compromise is what Arthur's saying. I do kind of go towards I understand where you're coming from, but I also, Jen, with not emptying the non-lapsing fund. But on the other side of that, I feel like we've tried different ways this year to give monthly updates to the Board of Finance so that the Board of Finance and the public are aware of our costs as they are coming. It's not getting in. I understand there's only so many funds, but we're not making up our costs. This is a budget that's built from the bottom as needs. It's not, let's take last year's budget and then add on to it. It's, we start at the bottom, am I incorrect? You all start at the bottom and we decide what we need and things are taken in and things are changed. Also, Phil and the administrative team have been very creative over the years to figure out ways to get by. So that might mask some of the urgency of what is happening as we go along.
That's what we're doing.
And if we start with 0, then we have to go to them and say, it's an outplacement, because last year, reality is, the budget passed at a lower rate than what we wanted, and by September 1st, we had another outplacement at 2 percentage points above what our budget was given to us, and we figured it out, and we had to freeze the budget for the second year in a row. But that gets forgotten by the time people get to the voting booth, because then it's just about my taxes are getting raised. And that's all it matters. It doesn't matter about the kids. It's about being your taxes and not about the people that are being affected by it. I apologize for getting a little bit heated, but the climate that we are in creates this sometimes. And the conversations that we've had over and over and are not being understood.
And
Phil, would you just tell me if we were to use what we have in the non-lapsing fund, what would we then need to cut for this additional 50?
If you use the full 161,
Right. We could leave one in. But
no.
yes, no, I'm teasing. If we use the 161, what cuts would we have to make tonight to get to that 50? Anything?
I don't have that scenario built.
Okay, I'm just thinking with the
You would have, I think you'd have more to do.
I think those are the three that we would still have to cut something from that group of items.
Yes.
Okay, about how much, or sorry to put you on the spot.
I don't know, because I would have to, I would want to rerun all of the, I ran you 4 very specific scenarios. I'd have to run the 161, or I'd have to run the max.
Okay.
So the question still is, do you want to do a minimum? Or do you just, as part of the lines 1 through 17? That's really the question, is what you're trying to solve.
All right, thank you.
Seems like we're trying to divide it as a board, where we're at.
We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that kind of it tonight.
The non-lapsing part.
Yeah, we can say we've committed that everything above and including staff support specialist 3 will be eliminated because it cannot be afforded under any scenario at the current suggested level. Once we get a final number back, it's a smaller number to work with. We can then figure out how we're going to disperse between non-lapsing funds versus anything else on the list or anything beyond what's on the list.
Are you okay with doing the minimum?
What he just said?
I'm adding to his. I think that when you're.
You want a minimum?
I want a minimum number that you're going to additionally apply as non-lapsing. That I'm pushing for that because it brings you closer for people to understand, like, something below that line is gonna get cut.
well, can we talk about your financial report now?
You can. My level of confidence of that being your number right now, we have closed so many encumbrances in the last couple of days.
Okay, I thought you said there was some.
There's some money in there. There's $70-something thousand.
I think we can agree on a floor.
Okay.
If not ceiling. I think we agree.
Right, and that's what I say, is the floor 80?
My floor would be on.
I was gonna say 125, so let's say 100.
Wait, are we speaking about
The
minimum that we.
The
to
minimum
apply?
Yeah.
The minimum number of additional non-lapsing funds that you would.
No, why?
You said that, what did you say again? One?
My minimum would be 100,000. Minimum at this point.
Okay. What did you
I
say?
said 125, but I rolled it back to 100 to match his, which is roughly.
Well, if
scenario
we
still.
say
Yeah.
minimum implies we would do more. So can we just say the minimum is 80? Or are you guys sticking to the 100? Like, I don't.
It's all hypotheticals. I do 80.
Discussion amongst that, yeah, so it's not, we're just trying to find
Something for Phil to put out.
agreed upon.
That's. it doesn't become hypothetical if I'm gonna put it out there to say you really shouldn't change at that point, which is why I pin you down to 117 to say these are gone. With a minimum additional of non-lapsing funds of X number of dollars. Unless suddenly the money tree spouts in center schools parking lot.
You said keep 50? I mean, that's basically what they're saying.
Well, it would be 80, right? Because it's 161.
You're advocating for half.
Right, you said that'd be 110 then.
80 is half and 160. So I just figured
Yeah,
you're
I know,
advocating for
before
half.
you said 50. You changed it.
Yes, no, I did not, but that's not tonight's conversation. I think to move tonight's conversation forward, I'm willing to say 80, which leaves 81 in there, right?
But all of his scenarios apply more than that. So leaving 80 in will lead to more cuts than what he's proposing tonight. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why that 103 was, we went back to the 103.
That's what I'm saying.
150 it is.
So I don't understand what's happening. So I thought we were waiting. I really feel dumb, I'm sorry. But
You're not. You're not.
It's like that at night, you're good.
It's super stressful, yeah. Okay.
So by you guys, I'm sorry, you guys, it sounds pejorative, I don't mean it to be, I'm just trying to understand this. So you are recommending taking 100,000 out of non-lapsing because that will save some of the lines for further future discussion.
Not exactly. I'm advocating taking $100,000 out of non-lapsing and adding it to a total that's already on this spreadsheet and committing and saying, this is going to be gone. This will not, these things will not be here. These are the minimum things that will not be here, and there is more discussion. Is that
1 through 17?
Correct. Everything above and including staff support specialist 3. These things will be gone. They are not possible to be afforded under the current scenarios, under the current budget scenario. Even in a hypothetical that this referendum passes, we can't afford that stuff. So that's for Phil to go out, or for Brianna to go out, or whoever to go out and say, this is a solid gone. These things are solidly gone. There's no wavering. It makes it. I was going to bring this point up about a future town meeting for money. It makes it tangible. It says that these things we know we can no longer afford. They're off the table, so that they're gone. Now we're going to work from, I don't know, what is it, with 100,000.
You want to tell you? I can tell you exactly what it is.
Okay,
But if we do $100,000 and we say if Phil then adds in sports after the fact,
sports is below the line.
It's below that line, but if we only do 100, it becomes that. It eats it up, doesn't it?
We've, if you do the 100,000 of what you have on screen right there, it's 323,000. But and again, this is live. I got to check everything, but
yeah,
this is what I believe 100,000 does. It identifies $323,455 of the $350,000.
So my point is, we go out there and say we've committed 85% of the proposed reduction. And we will figure out the other 15% if and when the referendum passes. And if it doesn't, we will figure out the additional money on top of that 15% after, in whatever referendum that passes. But we're committing, this is 85% of the reduction. And we're committing that this is what's going to be removed. And that makes it a solid thing. That's my point, is that we still have work to do with 25,000. But and that leaves us open to work then too. You know what I mean?
So again, apologies. Someone please explain to me how with 100,000, the positions that are eliminated are the support specialists, but with 80,000, like disaster befalls us in this scenario.
And the line goes further down the list.
By 2,000.
I have a question. if we were, Phil, you just said with that 100,000, we're at 323. If we were to add the interventionist to that, which I think based on what you said before, that is something we could possibly do with a little less pain, would that take us to our number that we need to reach? Take us to our, what did you say we needed? 350, 337?
351,000.
351. Would that take us there?
Yep.
Okay. Would that work? And then we could save Spanish, we could save sports.
I don't know if the board's ready to make that decision tonight.
No. That's just $100,000.
Just getting close to,
And allowing me to double check everything that's there.
just getting close to the proposed referendum is what I think we're trying to get to.
Okay. So I'm just making a motion, that'd be great.
Do you need a motion?
I think you need a vote.
If you're agreeing that basically you're gonna apply $100,000 and you know what's on screen right now down line 17, you understand, listen, you can't go back on it. If I'm gonna say that those are guaranteed that the board is committed to cutting those things, they'll figure out the rest of it after the fact. You're not coming back to it.
And that's option with $3,000 in sports equipment, correct? Or is that below that line?
I just dropped this to 100, so I changed it. So none of the scenarios that you have, because I changed it exactly to
Okay,
100,000. So that's why I want to go back. I don't like working live because I want to double check everything if I'm going to commit to something. So what I would do tomorrow morning is confirm everything that's there matches what we have exactly in the budget, and apply that additional 100,000 and whatever that total is that's what your committee is doing. I believe it's over $300,000.
Okay.
Are you okay with that? There's no good scenario here. Again, there's no good scenario.
If
Jen,
we do
you okay
end
with
up with, if we do end up with more money eligible for the lapsing fund, then maybe we could apply it to some of the things that had to be cut next year, as if we do have the funds to do that.
Good option.
I don't think it needs to be unanimous. I think if there's a consensus that that's what the board wants to do, then I did, put out a number that I wanted minimum in there is 50,000, and that still saves more than that in the non-lapsing.
I think it was 61.
But there needs to be a mechanism that we put out as a board to blow this up and make sure that everyone understands what's happening. I know that I think we've tried to do that. I think everyone's tried to do that. But this sucks. And I don't know.
Budget season's gonna be longer next year.
Well, that's kind of, I'm thinking about sitting in the seat next year and having this conversation, but twice as painful, if that's even imaginable.
I think from a perspective of, because of where I think you won't have insurance for a while again. But you're surely gonna know staffing numbers based on what you start the year with. You can start a budget process much earlier and without money because you're applying here. But we can start having those conversations early so people are very aware, we've been talking about this for a while.
There might be some people leaving over the summer that might free up some money and we can move things around.
Maybe.
All hypotheticals, but
yeah.
I'm hoping that some of the advocacy that's been happening can continue throughout the year, not just during this referendum season, because the information can't come just from us or from our meetings or our recordings. It needs to be talked about amongst the people who were affected most by it, the parents and their children. And I think they're getting missed somehow. And when we try to reach them, we're sometimes getting targeted as being ethical or following the law. but we need to tell this to our families somehow.
You want to move the financial report? Or you?
Yeah. I guess, I mean, did we make a decision?
I think I just said not a consensus. I heard several people say 100, so that's why I'm questioning.
Yes. That's what you should do.
Use 100 from the non-lapsing, eliminate items 1 through 17. That's about 85% of what we need to reduce. And that leaves us with 15% more plus whatever else gets cut if we have to go back to it again to figure out still. Is that right? It leaves 61 in the non-lapsing.
Today.
Fine by me.
Right.
Yeah. Arthur?
Yeah.
And
I'm still worried about teachers that don't know if they have a job next year or not. I don't think that's very fair.
we're trying to save it as much as we can.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my thought, so.
All right, I'm throwing up the. June, you think okay with that? Yeah.
That's where we're starting.
So this is the June, oh, why does that say April 13th?
Oh my God.
Right around. Or say. Mine's okay. Yeah. All right, well, the June one is not gonna be on screen, the one that's downloaded is.
Well, it's in your email though, Ian.
Yeah, it was emailed, Dan.
Okay, I'm good, I'm fine.
So minimal change program 1, program 2, in program 3, we had one of our special ed budget meetings and identified, a student had a change in services, so some money came back into the budget, which was good. Made the negative number a little less negative. Transportation, we unencumbered funds from regular transportation. We have one more bill to pay, and we are expecting about $9,000 reimbursement from home transportation from other districts. They pay a portion of that, and about $19,000 from Region 19. That is for fuel. That is being billed. I think it was going out today. Minor change in health services, no change in curriculum staff development. We unencumbered the funds for electric for our utilities, and that was really because we're looking at what our average bill has been. We have one more bill to go. And we believe that will cover the balance of it. Operation maintenance, we encumbered funds for custodial subs. That's remember how we've been taking care of the center school position. I am interviewing for that position tomorrow. System-wide support 9, we encumbered contractual retirement payout. That was my assistant. That was in her contract for 6 days, just like everybody else. And I said, if we had money in this budget that we would pay it, it's either July 1 or current. And so I'd rather do it now. Otherwise it hurts us even more next year. So that's encumbered. And then program 10, we encumbered the balance for dental and medical insurance. And so the leaves a balance today of $76,468. I was in interviews all day long today for the business manager position, but I will tell you that we have been flat out with budget meetings, just trying to close encumbrances, find every dollar that we can at this time of year. I think Marcia was probably 16 after a couple of hours of pure special ed. Like, we are trying to scrape every encumbrance back to get a good picture of where we're at. It's just a time of year where it takes things to close. I do not anticipate, normally at this time of year, I give you a list of projects and I'm like, hey, I want to let you know, I'm going to be buying $15,000 worth of Chromebook and I'm going to do this, and I'm not doing any of that. So if someone says, I need $150 for promotion ceremony certificates, I'm saying yes to those things now, today, they need them as part of the budget process, but I'm not spending any of the year and end of the year money at this point in time. Make sense? So that is the financial report.
This does not include the potential money for repairs that we made on the buildings.
If the four, I think, and I sent that to you, I think of what the final was, I think it was like 46 or 48. That does not.
Okay.
So, and that bottom line also doesn't include the Region 19 number or the homeless transportation. I also just want to make sure that all of the end of the year encumbrances are, that they're there, the final bills come in. I hate to say this, but it's, you know, it's June 9th, but special ed can change on June 9th, June 10th. A change in services needs could change a monthly payment by $10,000. So we want to make sure that we know where we're at. And I'm not worried about hitting the ceiling on what we can put in our non-marketing account. That's not even real. That's all I got, financial report.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay, we have some meeting minutes to approve.
I'll make a motion. The board approves special meeting minutes from May 13th, 2026, the regular meeting minutes from May 12th, 2026, and policy subcommittee meeting minutes from May 11th, 2026.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of approving said minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, that's-
I'll do the school building committee update for you and try and move it through fast. You already mentioned you needed a member, that's already taken care of. Please put on your calendars, they have a timeline for all like leading off of the referendum. July 27th is a Monday. Doesn't seem right. No, joint meeting is not June 27th. July 27th it is. July 27th, I believe, is the date, and I'll send this to you for confirmation that the SBC would like to have a joint meeting with the BOE. Please put that. Do you have it in?
Okay, oh, that's the joint meeting. No, I don't have that. I was gonna mention the 23rd, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'll mention that second.
At 11?
That time is not set, but I'm assuming it would be 7 o'clock, yes. So that's the joint meeting is July 27th. Please put a hold on your calendar for that. I did not pick that date. That's just what I think what they're looking to do. The next thing I'll show you is, if you didn't see, Tecton, who is the architect, came in with our, some of our staff were invited in and they did, a presentation. Basically, they did a think tank and they did some background information on the project first. And then basically what they did was they went through and put us through some scenarios and asked for feedback on things. They asked about, you know, might we provide an experience that supports, and we created some things like problem solvers and empathetic learners and curious learners and fluent readers. And we put stickers on things and they made constellations. And so they basically came out, these are the activities we did, and they came out with some big picture mapping, I will call it, and this is like all the paper that we were using. And what I'll tell you is they're going to put it into a synopsis for us, synopsis that you'll be able to see. It's just part of the engagement, community engagement. This is on the teacher side. Jim Marshall and I on Thursday are doing the student side. A similar thing where we're giving them pictures of things, and they have to get 3 dots and they have to put dots on things they like, that speaks to them. And then there's a community engagement, which is meant for everybody on June 23rd. It will be, that's 2 weeks from today, if I'm right. Yes, 2 weeks from today. It is in the Hall Memorial School Library. Don't have the exact time yet. There will be a flyer coming out pretty quickly for it. All are invited. Tecton will do a presentation. I don't know that there's going to be an agenda posted because Tecton's meant to answer the questions, I think. And I expect probably Jim will answer a few questions as well. So they want people there. SBC wants people there. If you have questions about the project, that will be coming down the pike. Last thing I'll say is that we have a working group that meets on Wednesdays. It's a smaller group of the SBC. And prior to last night's meeting, that working group walked, I can stop sharing. We walked the potential site that has been identified for the new school site, for that option. If you don't know where it is, it's behind the Lock and Stock. It's right next to Hall School. There's 3 lots, bang, 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 right next to each other. You can see the for sale sign there, and it runs from behind Lock and Stock all the way down to Cable Technologies. It's the land in the back. And so we didn't come out with any ticks on us. It was amazing. But it was actually nice. You know, we've been looking at aerial views. We actually could walk the property. Obviously it's got all sorts of bushes and things, but more to come on testing and more specifics on that site. But I think that's for the most part, the big things that are coming up with SBC. What I miss, Ann?
Just looking. Oh, and then the referendum has been scheduled for October the 6th. Is that correct? We need to have a town hall before and all, but.
Yeah, they moved it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. They moved it out to the fall. Can I keep cranking? All right, food services staff rate of pay is next.
Ms. McCoo,
Oh, sorry, he can't unmute. Hold on.
please hold.
Oh, it's okay. I can listen.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Sorry, Mike. That was me. No, I didn't boot him, Mike. Yeah.
Is there a way to leave me so I can unmute so I can participate?
You are, hi. Oh,
I wasn't.
Sorry.
I had been trying. I need to make a correction on something Ann said. Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay, I lost my whole screen now. Sorry. There we go. I need to make a correction on something Ann said. I think it's very important because it'll be on social media in 42 seconds.
Okay.
The referendum is not scheduled for October 6th. We cannot use language like that. There is a potential for a referendum on October 6th. That is a tentative schedule that we're using as a landmark or milestone or whatever. There is no referendum scheduled right now. Once a referendum is scheduled, we're in a blackout period. The referendum is not scheduled until the selectmen go through the process like we talked about earlier, but we have to be very careful not to use terminology like it's been scheduled.
Hey, Mike.
And I'm not trying to pick on you, Ann, at all. I'm just saying
That's okay.
that I want to be very careful about terminology.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Go. John's looking at me. Yeah, now we go. John. All right, so food service payroll is the same thing I've done for you in the past. The 3 columns on the left were the January 1, 2026 change. That was due to minimum wage. Minimum wage is $16.94. These hourly rates apply to the people that are working in food services. The second column is the increase they received on January 1st, 2026. Again, the purpose of that was to make sure that we're not closing the window as they raise minimum wage, and our folks that have experience were bumped out as well. I did the same thing again. I haven't heard there's going to be another minimum wage increase, but you never know. But you typically vote on a July 1 increase. I followed the same type of protocol, but I did, instead of the 4s, I brought it down to a 3.5 in the bottom 3, and everybody would be getting about approximately a 60-cent raise. And the next month you will have a financial report for the food services, but the last look I had at it was, this is not an issue at all to provide this raise.
Okay.
do we need to do? The motion? Yeah. The motion have to include each of the different.
Nope. As proposed.
So I just want to ask a question, if I may. I think it's important that we have the conversation. We do this annually, so I understand where it's coming from. That would be great if we could just know the budget. Like, just not before we do it, but like, I think that we should see it in its totality. I mean, we're looking for 10 cents under the couch cushions, so we want to make sure that we're.
Yep, this is not in your operational budget. So I just want to make sure people say that. I should have said that on the front side. I did not. I agree. It's just 3 people running a 4-person shop right now. So. I'm good. Did you get it? Yeah. This budget is over $100,000, so. And remember, not so long ago, pre-COVID, this budget had $7,000 in it. We've been maintaining that.
Separate from our budget, don't they have their very own?
They're their own. This is not part of our operational, doesn't impact us at all. Yes, this is the own food services budget, has nothing to do with your operational budget.
So if we're voting on it,
We need a motion.
Okay, can we just see it after, like, if you can send it to us, that'd be great, or to me,
They're trying to survive through budget season, I think, but as soon as I can get, I want to see it too. The last number I saw was 6 figures. So.
Motion to approve wage increase for July 1 for the food services payroll.
Something.
Brown. Go for it.
As presented by the superintendent.
As presented by the superintendent.
Yes. Second, still.
Discussion. Okay. All in favor of said motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And I see you, thank you. Motion carries. Well, business policy review, we're up to the by district employees.
There is no rush on this. If you are cooked and you want to table this all night, I don't think there's an issue in doing that.
It's the first.
This is second read, but there's no, I mean, if you are.
I would appreciate an extra month tonight, not because you have to go back to a night 2 want to look at it. Just want to look at it.
Table. Further discussion.
Nah, you can just do it.
All right. President to speak, if you would like to participate, please raise your hand virtually or in person, state your name, your address, thank you very much. John, when you're ready.
I'm ready. You going in person or online first?
I'm gonna go in person first, and then right back and around.
First day my times.
No worries.
First I just had a concern about the climate survey.
Jamie, sorry.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
Comment earlier. I had a few questions and concerns about the climate surveys, because earlier, when Arthur asked for the raw data, it was said that it couldn't be shared because I had identifying information, but later they were described as anonymous, and as a parent, I kind of want to know which one that is, because we don't know who was on the climate survey, committee, so if there are parents on there that now have access to our student information without us signing the directory thing, I would to know that. Or otherwise, why can't it be shared with the board? I also have a copy of a budget summary that I reorganized by category rather than program. I was going to give you guys a copy. I can do that after. It's the very first budget, so it's the same total without any potential reductions. It's just easier for my brain to look at it by category rather than program. Hopefully that will help you. As a parent, I'm struggling to reconcile some of the conversations. We've heard about the importance of intervention and supporting students who are struggling. We also had excellent presentations from the math coach. I recognize that coaching positions can provide value, but as a parent, I'm finding myself asking whether or not all these options have been considered. With one of the first examples, it showed potential reductions to intervention support, or professional support, student support services, class sizes, and it's natural to compare them to impact of other areas of spending, such as the coaching position, stipends, transportation costs associated with extracurricular activities, clubs, and other programs outside the regular school day. One of the options discussed was the intervention educator, the library educator. If you take 2 staff support specialists and a student support position, those 5 student-facing positions represent approximately the same cost to this district as the literacy and math coach. So what I find difficult to reconcile is the possibility of larger class sizes and fewer student-facing staff before considering all these other positions that do not directly serve students in the school day. My concern is reducing portions of positions that students interact with every day could have a greater impact on their educational experience. I'd also be interested in understanding how districts that do not employ dedicated instructional coaches provide intervention and instructional support before decisions are made. And I had a question. I believe Jen requested information about second grade student performance to see whether or not the district believes the students would adequately be supported in the event of classroom reduction. Again, my daughter is in second grade, and I was told that tier 1 teachers are very busy, tier 2 is full, and that the math coach has to now help. So that doesn't really align with that everybody's doing fine. And then I feel like managing an already overloaded tier 1 and tier 2 support group, it seems difficult to understand why we would keep an instructional coaching position rather than keep people in the classroom that directly work with our children every single day. And I think that more kids in a larger class would end up falling by the wayside. My concern is simply the impact on students when resources are limited. And I think that anything that impacts them directly should be the last thing considered. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Yes, I can go.
Go ahead.
Adams Lotus, 119 River Road. Just speaking to the budgetary challenges trading can do. From an equipment standpoint, I think that is, if we remove certain, we don't refresh certain equipment, or certain sports programs, we can augment in other ways, through the town potentially, that the options that again, they're student facing, human resources we're talking about that have a direct impact on student education, as well as in terms of budget. If we're trying to rehire somebody that we've lost and retrain them, there's additional costs and time for that and value. It's not just from operationally speaking, but from the value of education. So, I mean, it's twofold there. I think you're not going to see the sort of impact you would, from an educational standpoint and from a budgetary standpoint, if we were to try to maintain those education professionals in the system, where as opposed to getting rid of equipment or sports programs that we can try to fund through other vehicles.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the room? Online, Dani, I see your hand up.
Yes. Okay, so I wanted to, I know that I had brought this up previously to a few people, but I think it would be really good to try to do maybe a page or something of a day in the life of, and then include the staff that is non-student facing to kind of explain to the public. And I know this just adds to your burden. You guys have a lot to deal with. But because they want to signal or put a spotlight on the non-student facing staff, this would help them understand what you guys have to go through in a day-to-day. It doesn't have to be very detailed. I was wondering, and maybe you guys can speak to this after the questions are done, but if there are any rules against actively posting graphs as you guys speak in out of context on social media. That is a little concerning to me because it just gives off the wrong impressions that is actively happening, as I'm sure you guys all know. And then I also wanted to, I've mentioned this before, but I wanted to bring up the fact that parents have vocalized that they would rather lose sports than student facing staff. And I don't know what the budget is for the costs for the students lists in the beginning of the year. I know most of us come from a place where we do get a list in the beginning of the year of all of the items needed for our children. Me, as well as several other parents, are more than willing to buy them and then donate for the parents who can't buy the supplies for their children. I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Sarah, hi.
Hello. I think that there already are people making comments that are, inaccurate about tonight's meeting. I would like to see something that says we are going to have to cut this, and this is how it will affect us. I do think just point blank saying this, if we cut this money, this happens, might get the attention that it deserves. You all are incredibly wonderful people, and I appreciate all your hard work. And we all want to just do the best for our community and save them in any way we can. But I think straight talk in, okay, we're going to lose these teachers, these paras, with sports, whatever, and be very definitive about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Nick Tella, Myrtle Road. I guess a comment that was made by Phil earlier really stood out as far as basically the board, it was not verbatim, but basically saying the board has to recommend something loud to make a point when it comes to making cuts. It almost like it's like the powers that be want to put this, and again, it's a talking point. The board and Phil are trying to do fear tactics, but he almost said it out loud. Well, he basically did say it out loud. And I found that very interesting. And I could be corrected on this. As somebody was talking earlier about kindergartners don't do math. I just found that interesting because, like, I know my kids' curriculum, it's about 100 sections, and I think it's like number 13 or 14. They're doing math in kindergarten. So I found that interesting that it sounded like they're not doing math in kindergarten. So the digital backpack that went out, I definitely have concerns. It sounds like there might be some clarification from what Mike McCoo was saying as far as when the blackout date starts. Interested to find out more information on that. But at the very least, the terminology, as you guys all on the board already know, there's concerns with the language that was used in that digital backpack. Also, I understand the digital backpack has a huge benefit to parents and guardians with kids in the schools, and definitely not everything needs to go out to everybody in town, right? School dances, events, this to that, right? It should really only go out to pretty much the guardians with kids. That being said, when it comes to something with tax-paying dollars and it impacts the whole town, when the powers that be are sending this message out that's trying to persuade people to come out and vote yes, and it's only being sent to one group of people, even though it impacts a whole school, town. It just doesn't sit right. The town has e-alerts. People sign up. The collaboration between the Board of Education and the Board of Selectmen should be happening where, hey, I know you're sending out this digital backpack that impacts all people. while maybe the school dances aren't important to everybody to know about, but this is something, if you're going to be pushing it out, all those that have subscribed should be getting the same information. I know there's going to be debate as far as the whole SBC savings and that those numbers being put out there tonight, 600 plus 680,000, whatever it may be. Definitely not all of those positions could be cut right now. In the past, it's been determined that the only thing really justifying to have more than one principal is if it was over 450 teachers. And I think we all can agree both principals are very competent and capable people. I don't understand why people can't trust these principals to go down to one. I'm sure both of them are very capable in running a small school district of a 380. So whoever of the two decides to do it or is called upon to do it, they're more than capable to handle this school district. I have faith in them to do that. So the Phil's position, he's already identified it can go down to 0.8. I don't know why we're not doing that anyways. The schools are 5-10 minutes down the road. It's not like your half-hour drive, got to go through downtown traffic, this and that. It's very easy to set up these schedules for one principal to be working both schools. It's really not that hard. And then a literacy coach, I don't know why that's not being talked about more, along with the math coach being reduced. So those are my comments for tonight, but thank you.
Okay. I'll let that hang there for a second, or we can all rectify that. Okay. Anyone else present to speak? Board comment? Does anyone on the board care to comment? I'll start. I want to welcome upward Mr. Bacon. Thank you. And thank you to our staff for a really terrific 2025-2026 school year. Congratulations on having your first year down, Ms. LeMay. Thank you for joining us this year. And congrats to our 8th graders who are graduating on. Welcome to Falcon Life, to our Bs who are leaving 4th grade in your home there at Center. And just a giant thank you and congrats to everyone for a really wonderful year. Yes.
I just wanted to say, thank you for everybody that stepped up to be on the board and come here, Dee Dee, Jamie, and Peter. It's not easy. I also just wanted to say there is homework in the middle school level. It ramps up in 5th grade. There's not much. It's like 6th grade a little more. 7th grade, my daughter's getting more, and then 8th grade it really gets going, getting ready for high school. I just wanted to make sure you know. Okay, that's all. That's it. Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you first to Carrie, who I don't know, she's in New Hampshire already, but the way that PTA has run and the things that have happened for our kids in this town because of the way that PTA is run is nothing short of phenomenal. So thank you, Carrie, for listening. I also wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart as a parent and a Board of Education member to the teachers, administrators, every single person who sets foot in that school, whose job it is to have a facet of our kids' education. Probably feel battered and bruised by this process at this point. But I just want to say thank you, and what you guys do on a daily basis on your weekends is not unseen. And I just want to ask folks, if you're looking for information about what is happening on a board or committee in your town, I, as a board member, beg you to come to the board and not Facebook. Thank you.
I just want to say best of luck to Regina on her student teaching.
Tracy or Ann?
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Do kindergartners do math? Yes. Do preschoolers participate in a math program? Yes. Okay, we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
John, Jen, all in favor? Aye. Aye. And thank you. 52. Bye.